but I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 8, 9, 7.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may wonder? I'm going to have to sum up because there's way too much. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. What's going on, guys? We're doing this live to include you as usual because, of course, this conversation goes two ways. It's about again, tonight is about living in the upside down. Not just the upside down itself. What about the actual upside down? I know we've all seen Stranger Things, or probably most of us has seen Stranger Things. Maybe not the new season, but or at least familiar with the idea of back to the Montauk Project and MK Ultra and trauma and some of these things that they used. Not just on let's say specific individuals regarding, let's say, the Stargate program, but also let's say telekinesis or that type of stuff. Like very much like 11 from Stranger Things, and that the idea that they took these children, these gifted children, and gave them special training. And by what I mean by special training is probably not special at all. Probably, ritual abuse is what this turns out to be, unfortunately. And there's some basis in truth to all of this stuff, because of course you look at the Department of Energy and some of the statements they've made in recent years, and then also again the MK Ultra documents that were basically vanished. They just disappeared. So a lot of the FOIA requests have come out regarding MK Ultra, and we've got some documents, and again shout out to John Greenwald Jr., the Black Vault, doing God's work over there. But individuals like him are trying to get as many documents as possible regarding MK Ultra, right? But the problem with that is they basically destroyed a lot of that documentation because they were clearly doing some very, very, very horrific things. And we spent some time back in the day, Frank and I, when Frank was a co-host on the show. If you guys remember Frank, shout out to Frank if you're out there. Frank, where are you, buddy? Frank, where are you, buddy? Get in touch with me, my man. Love to hear from you. But Frank and I did a show a long time ago on Troubled Minds regarding specifically MK Ultra and the new dump of documents that John Greenwald Jr. got. And a lot of the things that are in there are, quite frankly, terrifying. Again, trauma regarding not just psychedelics and kind of overdosing people or microdosing or in between, and trying to just figure out what's going on to control people's minds, but also trauma. Back to the whole trauma bit, right? And which is unfortunate because that's again, basically abusing people. And in some cases, the MK Ultra stuff was actually, let's say, not voluntary. It was one of those situations where they would, let's say, experiment on people without actually getting their permission, right? And so things start to get super dark when you're talking about MK Ultra, the Project Stargate. The Stargate Project actually is what it's called, remote viewing and things like this. But then of course, right, we're talking paranormal, woo-woo, spooky powers and telekinesis and things like this. And especially from somebody like Eleven in Stranger Things, if you guys are familiar with the story, the young lady has basically superpowers. She can move things with her mind and even open portals to the upside down. So I mean, this is the thing, right, where we're talking about this idea of the upside down as something that exists, okay? So again, I'm going to ask you to suspend your disbelief tonight, and if you don't believe this stuff, that's fine. It's okay. It's more conspiracy speculation theater in those terms, and just kind of considering what the upside down may actually look like. Now, if you buy the Stranger Things bit, well, we'll get into what that is and what that looks like. Again, I'm going to try and leave a bunch of those spoilers out, because if you guys haven't seen Stranger Things, I recommend you do, because it's very, very, very good. I think this latest season, which hasn't concluded yet, by the way, it concludes the first week of July, is the best yet. So that's my opinion. I'm just one guy. What do I know? Just a knucklehead on the internet with a microphone. But there we go. So we're talking about the upside down tonight, but not like you would expect. So we'll get there in a moment. All right. There's your teaser. But what we're going to do, of course, as we stream this is a conversation. I'm calling it the Great Conversation because, well, I can't find any better. And that's the thing with the way people communicate anymore is I was like, back in the day thinking about, just I wish there was a space that existed where we could talk about amazing things, reserve judgment, not crap on each other constantly, and turn everything into a lefty-righty political fight, because that's the way the internet works anymore. So, well, Frank and I back in the day created Troubled Minds, and here we are. And it is the Great Conversation. It is, as Matt in Colorado, shout out buddy, was saying, he's like, hey, you do say, Mike, that you have the best callers in radio, all of radio, and it's the truth. It really is. Like I said, if you don't believe me, listen to a few episodes of Troubled Minds, pick some ones in the past that look pretty good, sound pretty good, and listen. And you'll see what I mean. You'll see that the amazing people that call in as part of this show, it's not just me. Like I say, I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. And once you get sort of a crowdsourced show like we do with amazing people, things seem to turn on their head quite often and in amazing ways. So there you go. That's what the Great Conversation is about. And of course, as part of it, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And there it is, right? So we're taking your phone calls. You can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's troubledminds.org right there on the screen if you're watching on the streams. And it's the official website. The phone number's there. The Discord link is there. Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free if you've got an internet connection. And it's a way to meet people. It's a way to communicate, share links. You can stream your camera and your screen, or it's amazing. It's an amazing program. If you guys haven't got into Discord yet, I highly recommend it. We're not sponsored by them. It's just a very, very good program. Okay. So there we go. What do we got? Let's see that streaming in all the places, the phone number, the Discord, Fringe FM. We are streaming live on the digital radio. And so if you want to help the Fringe FM, there are a number of ways that you can actually download the app, the Fringe app. It's completely free. You can find that on, of course, your Apple or your Android app stores, and download it. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. Just smash that play button at exactly 7 o'clock Monday through Thursday. You'll get Troubled Minds, and of course, with the Fringe app, you'll get all the rest of the great programming on Fringe FM. And there's also a Fringe Discord, fringe.fm/chat. There you go. Join that. Come say hi. Come meet all the amazing folks that are part of all of this. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now this is the craziest part. Okay. Now here's where we end up in a bizarre situation regarding news cycles, because you know me, I don't have any inside sources. My secret weapon is you. All right. It's us together. We're a secret weapon because we're just regular people trying to think about extraordinary things. Okay. But beyond that, I'm let's say a connoisseur and becoming an expert in news cycles, I think, because I followed this stuff so closely, and we have these recurring themes. And last night we were talking about the recurring theme of, oh boy, I can't even remember. What was it last night? Geez, it's not in my head. Okay, it'll come around. You guys remember. Those of you who were here last night, you remember. But there's this other recurring theme that I noticed today, all right? And it keeps happening. We keep talking about this, not a lot, not often, but let's say maybe twice, 3 times a year, because it keeps bubbling up in the news cycle. So let's do it. Let's go straight to this. This is from Popular Mechanics. And wouldn't you know it, it starts like this. An invisible mirror world might be making our universe expand, scientists say. Okay, all right. So now the weird part about this in the news cycles and everything that we're talking about and everything that Troubled Minds is like I said, that I don't know if this stuff is actually true, and where it's coming from, in this case, like I said, Popular Mechanics, but just because scientists say maybe or might, this is scientific maybe juice, okay, from actual scientists, and that's fine by me, right? We do our own version of maybe juice, but the thing that keeps recurring in the zeitgeist in these sort of news articles is this idea of an invisible mirror world, okay? Maybe like there you go, dream walking with the Sandman. Thanks, Night Stalker. Hey, it all blends together, and if I don't compartmentalize things in my head, I get all screwed up. But anyway, so this invisible mirror world, it keeps popping up in the news, right? We've talked about it on the news show that we do on Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. on Twitch. But the thing is, right, it keeps coming back. It's like it pops up, and then there's a new one, there's a new one, there's a new one. This is from June 1st, 2022. Let's read just a little bit about this, okay? Now, they're talking about the Hubble constant, all right? And here we go, straight from the article. Astrophysicists have been struggling to figure out why a fundamental figure that has helped explain the expansion of our universe since its inception isn't as reliable as once thought. Our data gathering instruments, including both ground and space-based telescopes, have improved over the years. The problem their increasing accuracy reveals is that the Hubble constant, the predicted rate of the expansion of the universe, changes depending on the method of measurement used. This, of course, is troubling because it implies that the universe could be smaller than currently thought, altering much of our knowledge about the cosmos. But we don't have to scrap the current model of the universe. Instead, there could be a mirror universe that's just like our own, exerting its invisible influence on ours. Francis Yan Cyr Racine of the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque is trying to reconcile differing figures for the Hubble constant by using the idea of a mirror universe. It's identical to our own, down to the subatomic particles, but its only interaction with our world is through its gravitational influence. Cyr Racine's research on the possibility of a mirror universe was published earlier this month in the journal Physical Review Letters. Okay, that's how we start, right? Now, like I said, it wouldn't be so peculiar to me. This, I love the idea of a mirror universe, of like the opposite of what we are, right? Again, everybody knows you go look in a mirror and you don't see yourself as yourself. You see yourself as the opposite of yourself, meaning that, this side of your face is on that side, right? When you look in the mirror. And it's super creepy to me because, I'm on camera a lot with the show and things like this. And a direct camera on my face gives me a more accurate representation of what I look like. But when I look in the mirror, I kind of almost don't look like myself, right? It's slight. It's very slight. You know how they say your face is divided in two, and if it's asymmetrical in terms of if you split it in half, safely with Photoshop in Minecraft. If you split your face in half and replicated one side in an exact mirror image, you'd be a completely different person because your two sides of your face are asymmetrical, okay? So in those terms, it seems, interesting that when you look in a mirror, you're not exactly as other people see you. But again, we're used to seeing ourselves in the mirror because that's the easiest way to, check the eyebrows and make sure the hair is just right. It's the mirror. And so we're used to seeing ourselves in this backward image, okay? In this odd, even though it's slight, it's going to be slightly off, but it's just slightly enough that I notice it. I'm like, do I look like that? Whatever. And it's not worth creeping out about, right? To me anyway. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm an old man. So I'm just like, whatever. Maybe it tripped me out when I was 5 years old. No more. Okay. But the thing is, it gets you thinking in terms of this mirror universe, like exactly how these scientists are describing. And they're saying with the Hubble constant and the expansion of the universe and the rest of this, now they're trying to interject this idea of this mirror universe, invisible mirror world that's coexisting with us. It's here with us right now, except it's interacting only in terms of its gravity pressure on our universe itself, okay? Which means, of course, that it's a way to explain dark matter, the dark energy effect, and the rest of this that sort of are throwing the math off from this Hubble constant, okay? Which is all fine. That's all fine and well. Interesting, fun, but it keeps popping up. It keeps popping up, this idea of a mirror world or a mirror universe. Now, of course, right? So then you start to think, all right, at least I start to think, I'm like, okay, so look, this keeps being put back into news cycles, kind of being reintroduced into the zeitgeist. And again, like we were talking about last night with maybe the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange, we're talking about Stranger Things and the Upside Down. It's like, wait, so we're talking string theory here, except it's sort of a shadow string theory, okay? So what does that mean? I mean, I'm not even sure we have like a proper scientific identification of what that may actually mean. And so, it's up to us. It lands in our lap to talk about what this might actually look like. So I got a few questions for you tonight, per usual, right? Per usual, we got some questions to ask and some speculations to make, all right, amongst friends. So the first question is, if there is a mirror world or a mirror universe, what does it look like? What does it look like? Does it look like Hawkins and the Upside Down from Stranger Things, where things are almost the same, but they're not quite the same, right? Does it look something like that? Does it look like, what did the Robert say over on Rockfin? Are we walking backwards? Is it a place where we die first and then progress backward through our life until we're born, at which point, things end, right? The end is the beginning, is the beginning is the end. Is that what this looks like? What does an actual mirror universe look like, okay? And then that's the first question, all right? Second question, how would we get there? Do you think there's a way to bridge what a mirror universe is from here to there, or a mirror world, and actually take steps physically into that upside down? Is there a way to do this? And we're going to talk about mirrors tonight in that sense, because again, we're talking about a mirror universe. It probably makes the most sense that if you're going to have some sort of, ritual to get you into the mirror universe, the mirror world, as it were, the upside down, you would do a ritual with a mirror. We're going to talk a little bit about that, because why the hell not? So that's the second question. How do we get there? You think there's a way to actually do a ritual with a particular mirror? Maybe a cursed mirror, or maybe a blessed mirror, or maybe a regular old mirror, or something else. I don't know. You tell me. So that's the second question. How do we actually get there if there's an upside down? Okay. Number one, what would the shadow world, the upside down, the inverse of everything, this idea of a mirror universe look like? Number two, how would we get there physically? Is it possible? Number three, what does it mean? Does that mean there's a version of you there? that's not quite you, that's maybe running in backward time, like we've talked about in the past? Or do we speak in reverse? What's going on with this? I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot to consider here. And so we'll talk about this as we go, but it gets even more weird because once you start talking about actual mirrors, all right, there's a whole like subset of paranormal stuff regarding mirrors themselves. All right. And of course, again, haunted mirrors, facing two mirrors across from each other, that whole Bloody Mary thing where you get in the bathroom in the dark and you say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, right? All the rest of this stuff. Like, what the hell's going on with this? Is there some sort of maybe power or portal associated with the mirror itself? And again, we talked about this a ways back with James. What's up? Shout out to James of Salcedo Paranormal. How you doing, brother? We had a show, him and I, where we talked about the paranormal aspects of the mirror. What we didn't quite get to, though, was the idea of passing through a mirror somehow, through a ritual or some other, way, maybe a scientific way. Who knows, right? Because it's the scientists that keep bringing this up. It's not me. It's not me. I just kind of follow the science. See what I did there? And right here from, again, the article is from Popular Mechanics. An invisible mirror world might be making our universe expand, scientists say. All right. So now thinking in terms of the invisible mirror world, what is it? How do we get there? What actually is going on in the actual upside down? And I don't know. I think it's fun to think about. I was, as you know me, some of my sources are the D&D source books. So I did a little bit of digging into Dungeons and Dragons tonight to see if we could get into some of that. But again, my thoughts are my thoughts, but more importantly, your thoughts are yours. And as long as we share them, this becomes a very, very good thing. So that's where we're at tonight. That's where I saw this in the news cycle today. I'm like, again, this just keeps coming up. This idea of the invisible mirror world, right? The actual upside down. And so you got to wonder, right? You got to wonder. We've got Stranger Things in the zeitgeist like crazy. We got the Multiverse of Madness. We got the Sandman like we talked about yesterday. And then we have this, a recurring theme about a mirror universe. What the hell is actually going on? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. But what do you say? That's what I want to know. And so as part of this great conversation, that's what's on my mind tonight. Hope everybody's doing well, hanging out. Happy Tuesday. We made it past Monday, guys. Yeah, party time. But fascinating, right? So check this out. A couple of things crossed my mind. If there's a way for, let's say, me personally, Michael Strange, to step into this invisible mirror world, sort of I don't know, what am I calling it here? I'll tell you why I'm calling it this. The Shadowside. I'll tell you why I'm calling it that, because it's a ritual with a mirror to look into the shadow side. That's why I'm calling it that. But this idea of this mirror universe, if I stepped into it and actually went into that mirror universe myself, would the opposite version of Michael Strange step through that same mirror in the same moment and come into our world? And that's the type of stuff that makes me think, is there something to this? Is there something to this? Because it keeps recircling back into the zeitgeist, into these news cycles, and I'm just following the science. So as we get down to this, you tell me. I don't really know the answers. You guys know me. I am the questions guy. And again, this is Troubled Minds. We do a thing called drinking the maybe juice, which just means suspend your disbelief and think in terms of, cosmic things. And tonight, that cosmic thing is the invisible mirror world that's somehow influencing the world and universe that we live in ourselves. So there you go. Just some ideas to kind of kick us off and get things started tonight. As you know, I just don't have the answers. I wish I did. Then I would be the shaman and not Matt in California, the official shaman of Troubled Minds. What's going on, Matt? I don't know. Look, no answers from me, but I do have a lot of questions. And of course, the questions tonight. Do you think it's possible an invisible mirror world exists, and what does that look like? Number 2, is it possible for us to get there? We're going to talk about some mirror rituals and how you might be able to take a peek into that world. And number 3, what would it look like for you and me as we pass through? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Scrying the Shadowside and the Black Swan Mirror event. I'll tell you what that's all about when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea, that's right, of an invisible mirror world. It just keeps coming back into the news cycles. I'm just following the science. The scientists say, maybe, just maybe, there's an invisible mirror world that's influencing the world we live in. And so, of course, since there's no actual good model for this, welcome to Troubled Minds. It's our job to try and come up with one, because why the hell not? What do you think this looks like? So the questions, again, back to this invisible mirror world. We're going to get into, again, the Scrying the Shadowside, what this means. The Black Swan Mirror event, I'll explain that briefly in a moment as well. But what do you think? What do you think this looks like? Is it actually affecting the world we live in? And how does this all shake out? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Or click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Matt in Colorado, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? Test 1 2. Are you there, Matt? Let me see. I don't think I have anybody muted. Double check in. Oh, he jumped out. There we go. Matt in Colorado, you're on Troubled Minds. Test 1 2. Are you there? Okay, we have that nice Discord bug where you're bouncing back and forth. Matt, are you there? Test 1 2. Matt in Colorado, you're on Troubled Minds. Okay, tell you what, till we get this worked out, I'm gonna bounce you back, and we're gonna go to Crystal Shaman. Crystal Shaman, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike. Are you there? Test 1 2. What is going on? Test 1 2. Test 1 2. All right, I'm going to jump back in the caller queue here. All right, there we go. All right, guys, somebody say something. You guys are creeping me out. Test 1 2. Anybody there? Matt in Colorado.
Matt in Colorado's here on the caller queue.
All right, I'm here with you. Go right ahead. You're on Troubled Minds.
Yeah, so thanks for allowing me the privilege of joining into the great conversation. It is a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the comments was about the invisible world and where does it maybe cross over to the Sandman and the dreams and the multi-dimensional universe. And you were like, man, you got to give me a category. I can't keep all this stuff straight in my head. And, in that the human tendency is we want to put labels on things. We want to categorize things so we can understand them better. But here's the question. What if it's all sort of one thing or overlapping things and our categories and our labels don't really fit very nicely and fit very neatly, right? And yeah, that gives our minds fits because our mind wants to pigeonhole things and have boxes and have categories and have labels. But yeah, a lot of this stuff seems to overlap and we can tell where one starts and the other one ends, right?
Yeah, definitely, especially with a mirror world, right? Again, like I know you've looked into a mirror, they're no stranger to us old timers. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? But a mirror in particular, they have that paranormal connotation to them, and that some say that through ritual or other things, that it can be a portal into this opposite, this upside down, this mirror universe. What do you know about that and that whole idea of mirrors as portals?
Well, I made a comment in chat, and it was just really off the cuff. I had just picked up on the topic, and what popped to mind was a recall of a book. So this is the Toltec tradition. So for those who don't know, this is the, ancient Mayans and the ancient down in Mexico and South America. So this is along the lines of Don Juan and Carlos Castaneda, but, before him and beyond him. This goes back 1,000 years. But in one of these Toltec books, they describe this practice where they would take a mirror and they would put it out in a stream of running water. So if you picture like a stream, whatever, 9 feet wide, and they would put a mirror, 2 feet down below the surface, and then they would use that to like summon a being from this parallel reality, and they would call them allies. Now these beings they would summon, they weren't particularly nice, they weren't particularly friendly, and it was kind of like you had to do a wrestling match with them before you could like get them to be your ally or your friend or your benefactor. But they were like really powerful beings to have around if you successfully achieved it. So I think, there is, and I'm not familiar with other ones. That one just popped in my mind. But so there's things in the stories and the culture and the mythos about using mirrors to summon things, and mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most beautiful of them all, and the spirit of the mirror comes through. There's some weird things about that. There's things where the tradition of when somebody's deceased, they would go through the house and they would cover all the mirrors with cloths. That's kind of weird. And a weird thing about mirrors, this isn't particularly deep, but it's just interesting. I thought about it one time. It's perplexing to the brain. If you stand in front of a mirror and you look at yourself and you raise your right hand, you'll see it on the left-hand side of the mirror. Okay? So it reverses everything, right? No, not right. It doesn't reverse everything because your head is still at top. So a mirror reverses left to right, but it doesn't reverse top to bottom. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around while that happens. And there was this other weird thing I noticed about mirrors. So it's the same thing left to right. So I have a musician friend, he'll record live shows. He's a right-handed guitar player, but if he puts his cell phone in, instead of, you can flip back and forth between whether your cell phone's taking a video of you, towards you, or away from you. And if you do it the one way, it looks like he's a left-handed guitar player. It reverses left to right. And that's actually because you only have one cell phone camera or video recorder inside the phone. And depending on the perspective, what it's doing is it's using a mirror, right? So that's why it reverses it. One of the other things about, in terms of what you were talking about, in terms of the Hubble Space Telescope and the Hubble constant, and you brought up the mirror reality. It reminded me of a discussion the other day where I said, that's kind of a scientific placeholder. Like the data's not working out. The data's not right. You remember that? The equations don't work out. Something's a little here. So let's come up with some sort of thing to explain that. So the question is this, mirrored reality and gravity thing to explain the discrepancy in the Hubble Space Telescope gravity constant? Is that just another scientific placeholder? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. And I think that's a good point. I liked when you brought that up the first time as well, the scientific placeholder, because clearly, like I said, hey, guys, I'm just following the science here. They keep telling us to follow the science, and it just keeps popping up in the zeitgeist. We have this mirror universe. I mean, hey, the scientists keep suggesting it. But yeah, I think clearly without some purely, maybe not purely, but let's say mathematically based model that has some sort of direct evidence to go along with it, I think you're probably right. Scientific placeholders, but it still leaves us in this weird situation of this upside down world, bizarro world, as Night Stalker said there in the chat, with the Superman comics going on, or the Superman show, or whatever's happening with that. I don't know. I'm not a DC guy. Sorry, run me out of town. But okay, so I love the idea you said that they was it the Toltecs were summoning? Let's say, were they demons? What were they? They were something that came out hostile from the mirrors, right?
Yeah, they called them allies, and that's because if you could befriend them / tame them, they would sort of be like at your beck and call. They would be an ally. They would be an assistant, and they were sort of like, I guess they considered them neutral beings. They weren't particularly good. They weren't particularly bad or evil. They just didn't really give a crud about humans. But they were very powerful. And they didn't, so it'd be similar to like summoning a demon, but they weren't demonic or anything. But they didn't want to be like controlled. They didn't want to be like under your beck and call. But if they were able to summon them and sort of wrestle them to the ground, then they could use them to do other feats of magic, or just occasionally call upon them when they got into trouble. It's like they would call on their allies. Yeah, that's that story. And you asked the question, if there is this mirror world, how do you get there? Can we get there physically? We were talking about on the Dream Time and the Sandman, and there's lots of different avenues to get to, let us say, the multi-dimensional universe. But that's all those things we talked about. You're getting there consciously. You're getting there in consciousness. So the question of, can we get there physically? I don't know. And would that involve some kind of technology, to physically go to these other dimensions? So that's an interesting question. And the other thing, that your third question was, what does it mean? And I think you said about, like, if you went there, are there different versions of you? And one time it was explained to me, I like to, instead of thinking mirror world, what about if we put it in this context? Let's think about more like parallel realities. And if there's parallel realities, one way that was explained to me one time. So if you picture like a pipe 3 feet around in front of your face, and then inside that pipe, there's these tubes that are like 3 inches around on the circumference, and there's like 20 of them. And then inside from that, there's these tubes that are like 6 inches around, and there's 12 of those. And so they get larger and smaller in number as it goes towards the center of the pipe. Now, at the center of the pipe, there's one that's like a foot around. Now, that's an analogy of like parallel lifetimes. So what this means is at the center of the pipe, that tube that is like 12 inches around, that's kind of like your main primary lifetime. That's probably like the lifetime that your consciousness is in right now. But apart from that, maybe you got 9 other parallel lifetimes, and they've got a lot of energy going through them. They're big pipes. And so those are like parallel lifetimes, parallel realities. Maybe those are sort of if you take them collectively, maybe those are the mirror universe, the mirror realities. And maybe that's why they have a gravitational effect, or they interact and intersect with our physical reality. And then the further out you go, it's like those are less probable. You don't have as much energy in those. The universe doesn't have as much energy in those, but there's still possibilities.
Of course. Matt, I got to cut you off. We got a call behind you, so we can't give you the whole segment tonight, okay? I appreciate the phone call per usual. You were amazing. Matt's got a book. Check it out. Links in the description down below. I don't have the title up because I'm a knucklehead and I wasn't prepared, but I've got it here. Hold on. I got the title of this book, Matt. Check this out. This is how macho prepared I am now, because I can just paste the link in and read it. Matt's got a book called Escape the Matrix and Explore Reality, a guide to radical transformation and empowerment. Links in the description. A good friend of mine, Matt, in Colorado, and he's on Discord often, so come pop in and say hi. Come meet Matt. He's an amazing dude. You're welcome to stay right there. Please mute up, and we'll get back to you a little bit later, okay?
All right, thanks. Hey, I was done anyways, so perfect timing.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for the phone call. So, okay, real quick, we got Crystal Shaman on the line. Going to go to you in just a sec as well. But let me explain this real fast before we do this. Now, I'm calling this the Black Swan Mirror Event because this is what a Black Swan event is. This is the actual term. A Black Swan event is this. Popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, refers to unpredictable events with often catastrophic consequences. According to Taleb, the 3 traits of a black swan event are 1. Rarity, unpredictable outlier, all right? 2, results in severe consequences. And number 3, rationalized post-occurrence and retrospective bias. Now, what I'm talking about is in terms of being able to maybe, let's say, cross the bridge to the upside down. And we've talked about the Department of Energy, we've talked about CERN, and maybe accidentally opening portals. What happens if this does happen? This is exactly what this would be. It would be a black swan event. And since we're talking about mirror universe, it all seems to fit. What if CERN does open some sort of portal to the upside down and a Demogorgon rolls out? Does that mean, let's say, a politician rolls in to take its place in the upside down? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Crystal Shaman. Are you there? Test 1, 2. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you?
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being patient with me. And Matt, go right ahead. What are your thoughts regarding this mirror universe?
Well, that kind of goes to the hologram type situation I mentioned the other day. Are we in 2 places? Are we in an avatar here and our actual beingness is in another place? That is the question.
Like in 2 places at the same time, right? So your mirror version of yourself would also be there. And like Matt said, he brought up an interesting point regarding the mirror itself. It doesn't actually reflect top to bottom and reverse it. It goes left to right. So what does that mean for your alternate self? What do you think the other version of yourself might look like?
Well, it would look like you look here.
Okay. And how about behavior-wise? You think it would be similar or something else?
I'm sorry, my phone's doing a little bit of funky stuff here, so I couldn't tell if I was still on. Well, I mean, it would be a mirror reflection of you here. It would be the same.
Okay, and behavior-wise, that's what gets me thinking in terms of, let's say things are maybe a little askew, like Night Stalker said in the chat there. You think it would be kind of bizarro world, or would things operate and people's demeanors be very similar to what we are here?
I think this is just my opinion. I don't see, like, if we are in a hologram, the other you is going to be similar in behavior as well. What I do think that we may have, don't know for sure, is parallel timelines. And this gets kind of complicated. It would be as if you are fragmented and you're in different timelines, a you in different timelines. And honestly, I think this kind of gets into that looking glass technology that I mentioned earlier. I don't know if you are aware of it, but there is some things being said that white hats are looking at what was seen with the looking glass technology when it was being used. I don't know if you've heard anything of that, but...
Yeah, you're talking about Project Looking Glass, right?
Yes, and Frank Jacob, who is supposed to be, kind of tracking what these white hats are doing. There's that actual other channel called Project Looking Glass on YouTube, and they were posting predictions of events and things we were supposed to try to avoid these certain events from happening. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about the 17th letter of the alphabet, right? Is that what we're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about the 17th letter of the alphabet. There is literally a white hat group, alleged white hat group that are supposed to be ex-military, and they have a YouTube channel, and they're posting predictions of events that may happen. The most recent event was one where a Dr. Wu, I'm failed to remember his first name at the moment. He's involved in a project called Raindrop DAO, like Raindrop DAO. And it's being said that he was being targeted because he is, on the good side. So May 20th was supposed to be an attempt on his life, and I'm hearing that, that he didn't get, taken out of this world. So I don't know. There's just this whole sequence of events, 60 or 70 of them that are supposed to happen, that we as a people are supposed to stop them from happening. So I'm not really sure about that whole situation, but there's another YouTube channel, and I'm not going to keep plugging other channels, that is involved with Frank Jacob, who is somehow, he's like monitoring that situation, if you know what I'm saying. But
gotcha. Okay. So
yeah.
I actually was mistaken. Sorry about that. I thought that it was related to what I had brought up there. So I'm not familiar enough to actually comment on this intelligently, let's say. But I'm following what you're saying. It is something completely different than what I was thinking. Not completely, but sort of different. Sort of different in terms of who's doing it and those types of things. But go right ahead.
Yeah, it is, including the project, Looking Glass project that you mentioned. However, supposedly, allegedly, of course, we never know what the truth is. Supposedly, the Looking Glass technology is not being used anymore because they supposedly saw that it only led to one timeline ending. So, I don't know. I mean, we're at the mercy of so many things in this earth plane that we're in. But, you mentioned mirrors. I mean, I do think that mirrors can be used for different things. I mean, John Dee had a scrying mirror that he used. Just from some of the knowledge that I have, a person can sit down in a chair in front of a mirror, and you can train yourself to see your own aura. And in doing that, you can also train yourself to see others' auras. Okay, I know that's a freaky thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of freaky stuff with mirrors. We're going to get into some of the rituals and whatnot. I was looking at some stuff tonight, and there's some really creepy stuff with mirrors. But unfortunately, we're out of time. If you want to come back in a little bit later, you're welcome, okay? We got the third hour. You can drop back in, and if you got some more stuff to tell us, I'd love to hear it. You seem like you know more than a little bit about mirrors and this sort of thing.
Well, I've never used any myself. I just have I have a lot of knowledge. I've studied the Veda scriptures. You can learn a lot from that. And then I've studied many things. I have a very large picture in my head that's sometimes hard to convey to people. So in any case, I'll let you go. I know I'm out of time, so I'll get off of here.
I appreciate the phone call. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us, your takes, and always a pleasure. We'll catch you soon, okay? Like I said, if you want to call back, third hour is exactly what that's for. Thank you very much, Crystal Shaman, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic night. We're still talking about this guy, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. What does it look like when you pass through the mirror, or what is on the other side? The scientists keep telling us the mirror universe exists. What is this all about? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Scrying the Shadowside in the Black Swan Mirror event when we return. Be right back. talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing that. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
We got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Tuesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. As usual, we're taking your calls as we stream on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and of course, broadcast live on the Fringe FM. Do you want to be part of the discussion tonight? Give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. Look, it's back in the news. It's back in the news again. Back in popular mechanics, an invisible mirror world might be making our universe expand, scientists say. Now, this just keeps coming back. It's like every couple months or every 6 weeks or so, there's this new theory or new discovery or new something or other, new postulation of this mirror universe. Now, how come this keeps popping up? It's like, you know how they say about things being in the air? It almost feels like this maybe we're on the cusp of something, and that's what creeps me out a little bit about this. We've talked about the Department of Energy. We've talked about D-Wave computers. We talked about this whole Geordie Rhodes thing and this idea of the upside down. How do we get there? Is it possible? We're talking about this mirror world, mirror universe. And of course, can we get there through the mirror itself, through some sort of ritual? And so I've got some rituals picked out that'll creep you out, but we got some of that coming as well when we go tonight. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. What do you think about this? You think it's real? You think we can get there? What does the you on the other side of the mirror actually act like? Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Hey, I wasn't expecting to be on. I thought I was going to go the other way.
No. James said take the phone calls first. He said he'll wait. I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, then. All right. I sure can. All right, so the thing with the mirror thing, I think that I'll start with saying in the Fae folk belief, what they believe in, what they're talking about with that, is like they pronounce it the she, but it's spelled side, like S-I-D-E. Sounds like Sidhe, like S-I-D-H-E. But anyway, it's like the side. It's another, and what we would interpret that as, it's this other side. And you have this division going on of the Seelie and the unseelie. The Seelie is like happiness, and unseelie is like the unhappy, basically. And they are living the reason I bring that up is that they are discussed as they're living in a parallel world. And you have this whole account of these ancient races that were existing on the earth as real races of beings, supernatural beings. And you have that all around the entire world, the accounts of these races. Like you have the jinn, the fae folk, often called like the good folk, the fair folk. And you have the same thing going on with the jinn too. They're seen as being good or bad. But a lot of times there's a big prevalence of the ungood. But you call them good so they don't hurt you, And I wanted to bring that up because I think that in this world that they're living in, I think it is the upside down in a way. It's the entirety of history in our realm is then of everything that we have rejected collectively as a society is there. And it's constantly changing because the values we accept and reject are constantly adding to it. And on a personal level, it's doing it too. But they're called the immortals, and you hear about the immortals too in every single culture. Because in this realm where it is, it's not death, it's like in between. Because there's death itself, yeah. But then after that, there's another existence that they believe is going on where it's all residing. And then all this is taking place kind of in the collective imagination too. And how do you get there? So I think what it looks like is that it's constantly being added to, and it's like a shady mist that is, constantly shifting. And I think you would get there by an escort, is what I think. Like you would either go to one of these places where there has been the massive collective unconscious, maybe even like the 9/11 towers or the burial mounds, or anywhere, that has this significant prevalence where it's really obvious, a cemetery, where it's really obvious that you're making a connection to this other side of things and seeing, beyond just the real world we're living in. And the use of the mirrors in that, a mirror seems to absorb and quietly be watching, like everything that's happening in front of it, And that represents, too, like we are like that. We are taking everything in and quietly absorbing it, and there are parts of it being accepted or rejected. And that's why I think the mirror plays such a big aspect in that, because it's much the same. And the two mirror rituals that are done to make contact with the shadow self is because you're looking at yourself, obviously. It's the left-hand path. And you're looking at yourself to make contact initially with your shadow self, which a lot of people will say look just like me. Some people will say it looked like a demon, or I saw this and they were frightened by it. It's because you're making contact with all the things you've rejected in yourself. But if you can get past that and merge with it without being like possessed by it in a way or something, but you're merging with it where you're accepting of it, tolerating it, it would operate like an escort into that terrain from within the mind, in the deepest reaches of your subconscious mind that it can go to, because it's all unconscious and not supposed to be known. It's supposed to be hidden and put away, rejected. And I think you would encounter these beings, like the fae, the demons, our ancestors, these supernatural ancestors as they were, because they were also like the spirits. They're able to operate still with the living. But you would encounter them in that world. The collective shadow, the same as the shadow of the self of society, is what you're going to encounter there. And the thing with the mirror, too, that's so important, if you're doing going back to the two mirror thing, totally skip that. But you have if you have a large mirror in front of you, for example, it doesn't have to be, but if it was, and you had a mirror behind you and you're sitting, for example, in a chair between them, you're the three-faced God. The three-faced God is that type of mentality that you're looking into the future, you're sitting in the present, but you can also see the past behind you. And so you have that three-faced experience that allows you to portal to go one way or the other. And because you can't tell the difference, you could easily pass, much easily, you could pass because you can't even tell that there's like a blurring. And eventually after being in that, immersed in that, you're bound to do it. You're bound to something will happen to your psyche, I think. And the reason that there's those rituals in the cemeteries too. You know, like if you're in a cemetery and you have wine, you pour some on the ground and you say, for the living and for the dead, and for those who must be both. And for those who must be both is these forgotten and pushed aside aspects of ourselves and the collective society that has been rejected to make room for what we do want. And you could get to this too with hypnosis. And I think and for example, the Stranger Things, the mentioning of that, like there would be, I think it's possible that there would be, depending on how strongly certain aspects of society were rejected, things like the Demogorgon or, you know, these different types of, or Godzilla, like the God monster. You would have these massive archetypes. And the same thing within the self, the thicker and denser the shadow becomes. And you have this whole aspect too going into it with the thought forms and being able to be possessed by thought forms, or thought forms being able to roam freely, I think also ties into this. And it's just all this, and much like we wear a mask every day, not in the sense of like with the restrictions and yada yada, but when we look in the mirror, you know, we want to present ourselves the way we want to. But in rituals and things where they literally are putting on a mask, they become possessed by the mask. And so when you're taking that mask off, you're seeing everything that you are. And the reason that they would refer to them as the good is to avoid and try to at least blend with it so that it doesn't become bigger. So if it's societally, there's a mirror, like another world that's expanding, it's because we are more and more refusing to acknowledge what is not perfected or what we want to acknowledge, because nobody's doing collectively these types of rituals because they are very dangerous. I mean, I think it's why a lot of people aren't really, and it's kind of a secret thing. But anyway, though, it's the complete repressed, everything that we refuse to acknowledge and that we're ashamed of in our history and in ourselves. And that could be changing and shifting. And it could, and in a way, it's not all bad, because some of those things, especially if you have false ideologies where you're lying to yourself, there can be a lot of truth found in that shadow mirror world. If you'll be able to look and see truly, not all of it is bad.
Yeah, it does track that. So in our world, we have good and we have bad. So if there's some mirror image of that, at least in terms of that duality, you would expect to be have a similar mix on the other side, right? I don't know if it works this way because clearly I'm not the expert here, but if somebody was bad here, they may be good there, or at least maybe their intentions may be swapped, right? So it's hard to say with what this actually means, but it is interesting to think that these scientists keep alluding to the fact that we're literally talking about an upside down, very much like Stranger Things. Super bizarre.
Yeah, I think it's very real. And the references to these ancient races, supernatural races, as being immortal and extending on indefinitely, is because it never ends. It just keeps picking back up again. And the reason it blends into the dream world, too, is that those worlds are all operating in the same place, and you can contact, because you're making contact with the deepest subconscious, unconscious part of ourselves, and then we're seeing possibly, in some dream work, the truer aspects of our society that we refuse to acknowledge while we're awake. So I can see how it could be that there could be a collective thing occurring, and it does seem to be a real place. And if they are measuring it with quantum physics and with science, I think they believe in it too. And I think that it would have an effect, because it's believed, it's always been believed, that these beings in this realm is directly affecting our real world in a way. And so if they think that it's expanding, it makes me wonder if the other side, the other world is, if that is the case, is that it's real enough, that it's affecting physical reality. Because everything that is going to be, and we know this, that everything that's going to exist starts in the mind. It starts there, and then it comes out from there. It starts as a thought, an inspiration from somewhere, and then it comes out from there. So they're in that world. They're in that world where we get inspiration. And this other world is in that same world too, I think. But it's all the things that are taken and those that are refused. They all are still all in that one place where these beings, which are the collective subconsciouses of the masses, possibly even the dead, that are immortalized there, because it's believed that death is like it's a beginning of another existence of some kind or something.
Right on. I appreciate it. We got a call behind you, so we got a jet. Jennifer, you're the best.
Mirrors.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sounds good.
Sorry about that. There's a weird phone delay, so we have that. My apologies. You're the best, Jennifer. Thank you for calling. Great stuff as always. The third hour. If you got more to dip back in, you're the best. Please give her a follow. Jennifer has a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic night, and thank you for the call. 702-957-1037. We're talking about Scrying the Shadowside, the Black Swan mirror event. What about this, let's say, mirror universe that the scientists keep talking about? Is this real? Sorry to cut you off, Jennifer. That was awfully rude of me. But again, a weirdness with the phone. Let's go to MJ in Virginia. You're on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Michael. Pretty good. Want to try to be as quick as possible. Mine's more about experiences, but it's going to lead into the mirror. I have done the mirror thing before, years ago. And what I did was I took a candle, put it down behind the mirror, so it illuminated the light, illuminated around the room, but you couldn't see the candle directly. And just went into meditation state, watched the mirror, watch yourself. And what happened was I went through a lot of past lives until now. I saw myself as now. And I also saw my own aura in the mirror. And I looked up at the wall behind me, it was still there. And I looked back at the mirror, it was still there. And then I asked what I was going to look like in the future. You're talking about the mirror, the mirror image. There's a meditation called Zen meditation. And what you do is you meditate with your eyes open, okay? And what happens for me is the textures of things in front of you change, and sometimes they blend into a collage and they flatten. Okay, and then you'll start seeing like a little light fly through and this type of thing. So I'm kind of wondering if they're talking about looking into a mirror, it's the same training possibly, or is that the mirror they're talking about is just a reflection of light and what's in front of you?
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure, and I think that's the thing, right? The thing that does creep me out about it is like I was telling Jennifer, the scientists keep talking about this like it might be a real thing, and they're talking about it from different angles and aspects as well, which kind of make me go, what the hell's really going on? So do you think that there is, let's say, a ritual that could take place that could maybe, let's say, open a portal to a mirror reality? You think that's a possible thing?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's tones and sounds, tones, your physical vibration, the frequencies, and someone knowledgeable enough to connect to the other frequency to open up a portal or a mirror, however you want to look at it, to walk into something else. I do believe that's possible. What I do think is possible is that the frequency you're going into will mimic this one. That's why it would be possible. Okay, it has to be, the relatability has to be there. So when they talk about the mirror image or reflection of this world to another world, I would have to say yes.
Okay, and we're going to get into some of that as we go tonight. Some of these rituals. There's something called a what is this called? The Three Kings ritual, and it's super creepy. I was reading about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go tonight. But I mean, it's a lot of this stuff seems to be, I don't know, are we just blending hyper reality and a bunch of this is just BS, or is there some reality here? And I think that's the part that creeps me out the most is now we're talking about the Marvel universe, we're talking about science, we're talking about, esoteric stuff, we're talking about all kinds of things that seem to be merging into this one idea of a shadow, or not shadow, a mirror universe, a mirror world. It's pretty creepy. We got about, let's say, 2 minutes left for you, my friend. What else you got?
Okay. When I sometimes go into meditation to shut my eyes, I open my eyes, I've mentioned this before, is I have like a steam or a smoke coming off my face. I have a homemade scrying mirror. I use water. I don't use glass. I use water. And if I look at it and just stay in the meditation, what happens with it, it clouds up, and then there's like this cloud steam kind of thing sort of rises up about it. It starts getting like a 3D effect. Now, one thing I've been practicing on is contacting different levels of my own consciousness to see, just kind of go up in consciousness for information, this type of thing. And again, back to the mirror thing, I'm just wondering if that's part of the practice to get to the point where you can open a mirror up or walk through, open a portal like that and just kind of walk through.
Yeah, that would creep me out for sure. So what happens if you do? If you go through the portal into a mirror world, does the opposite of you also come out of that mirror world into our world?
I don't think not necessarily. Yeah, I don't think they're exact replicas. I think there'll be some changes to it. You could be a little bit ahead, they could be a little behind, vice versa. I don't know that the consciousness of your doppelganger or the other you may not be quite that. May not be quite where you are. Maybe they're doing something a little different. Maybe it's a different type of more of a. They mentioned truthful life. Maybe it's more down-to-earth life. Maybe mine's not a down-to-earth life. So I don't know if they would exactly match up like that. And if you go in, are you going to disrupt the frequency in there because your doubles in there and you can't really get near each other?
That's a good question. Which we'll continue to talk about. MJ, you're the best. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us and your ideas here. Great stuff as always. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for the call. Thanks for listening, bro.
Yeah, you too, bro.
Thanks a lot. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient with me on the phones, guys. Sometimes I got a little bit of weird delay there, so apologies. And look, we're still talking about this. Scrying the Shadowside, the Black Swan mirror event. What does that mean? Now, I'm going to tell you what that means when we come back. So, what do you think? The scientists keep saying that there is a mirror world. Well, we're going to talk to James of Salcedo Paranormal when we come back, and of course your phone calls as well. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of a mirror world or a mirror universe. It's back in the news. I tell you what, the scientists keep talking about it, and what do? I follow the science. That totally needs to be a t-shirt. What are your thoughts on this? The actual mirror world. Is it possible this exists, and what does it mean for human consciousness? Beyond that, how do you think we access this mirror universe or mirror world? Is it through the mirror itself and some sort of ritual? We're going to get to the Three Kings ritual, which is very similar to the ritual Jennifer was talking about when she called in, with placing the mirrors in the chair and all the rest of this. But before we do all the rest of that and get to the actual Black Swan mirror event, which is what I'm calling this, we're gonna go to James first. James in Michigan, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight, my friend? Test 1, 2.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Almost like you do this quite a bit, my friend. What do you think? What's going on with this stuff, man? This mirror world. Like, I know we've talked about mirrors in the past. I said that you and I have done a show in the past on sort of the paranormal aspect of mirrors, and we didn't really get to rituals and whatnot. We were talking about it as sort of a doorway for spirits to maybe cross the veil, right? But what about like an actual parallel universe that's the mirror world? Do you think that this is connected to mirrors itself, or just simply a coincidence that there's a reflection involved?
So I have two kind of trains of thought here. First is, we've talked before in other shows about this idea that there are versions of us, and there's a different version of us in each universe that's out there, and that when you put all those together, those versions together, it's almost like facets of like a crystal or a diamond or something, with maybe your higher consciousness being like at the top of it all. I'm wondering if that can be taken to the largest, basically the biggest scale, the biggest size, as in there is one universe at the very top of everything, and it's the tip of this crystal. And then on below that are all the sides, all the different surfaces that are each a different universe.
Okay, sort of like the whole fractal effect, right? Like maybe it's not directly mirrored, but there's different mirrors, sort of on the fractals of a diamond, something sort of like that.
Right. That's the first thing I'm wondering in terms of that, and then if we're all connected, and if all these places are connected, maybe that can explain just all different kinds of weird things that happen in the world, paranormal wise and all that. So that was the first thing. But the other thing, and I mentioned this in the Discord earlier tonight when you brought up the idea for the show, but I had some more thoughts on it, is this idea of darkness as a mirror. You know, whether it's the darkness of a scrying mirror, a black mirror, or a lot of people have already talked about how your different devices have these dark screens, these dark black surfaces that also are still reflective.
Yeah, back to the old good old fashioned scrying mirror of Obsidian fame, right? And notice when you have a smartphone or a device turned off, and you just have that black screen, it looks very Obsidian-esque in that same way. Definitely. Yeah. What else? Go right ahead.
Yeah, but then I also mentioned, and like I said earlier, the how I've noticed, for me anyway, I wear a blindfold a lot because my eyes are really sensitive to light and they get worn out easily. So I wear a blindfold a lot throughout the day and even at night. And I've noticed there have been times where when I get relaxed, almost, maybe you call it a trance, I start seeing images, just faint images in my mind's eye, basically projected on the inside of the blindfold. I've had this happen a few times over the years. Not all the time, just once in a while here and there. But, and so that's an odd thing enough in and of itself, but it got me wondering, and this was just something I thought of a little while ago, what if darkness itself can be a mirror for our mind? What if that's part of why there is this fear in so many cases in different people of darkness? physical darkness.
Yeah, I think you may be right because, like, you think about it in terms of, Joe Rogan talks about the DMT experience and sort of being able to, use your mind as the portal type of thing. But then he also talks a lot about not just being on DMT, going without the drugs. Let's remove that entirely. And he does a lot of that sensory deprivation tank stuff, right, where you get in there and you're floating in this water. By the way, very much like they did to Eleven in Stranger Things. No giant spoilers there, but I mean, what in the world, right? So the sensory deprivation thing is complete darkness, and it's sort of complete outside of gravity because you're floating, not like in space, but you're floating on water, giving you the feeling of weightlessness. So it's almost as if you are in a void itself, kind of absent the gravity that we normally have on our body, and absent of the light that we would expect to kind of give us that sensory just function as a person. So I think you're spot on, dude. That and I've had this happen too. Like, I don't wear blindfolds, but you kind of close your eyes for a while. And you just you start to see colors and swirls and stuff just from having your eyes closed and kind of focusing and concentrating. It's so bizarre, right? It's like we have this aversion to the dark, but the dark also brings terrifying things, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if you think of how many, and I don't mean to keep bringing this to this, but if you think of how many paranormal experiences seem to happen in the dark as well, even going as far as a lot of UFOs. Where do a lot of people see them? They usually see them in the dark at night.
Interesting. I wonder if by dark of night is the ritual need for I don't know, lights in the sky or worse, or the veil, or I don't know. It is creepy. It is creepy to consider. So the mirror itself, or a blindfold, or just darkness and that sensory deprivation, maybe that's all you need. And so these mirrors are, let's say, just an oddity in the same sense. But you have said in the past, we talked about this when we did the mirror show. You said that you feel weird around mirrors. Is that right? Do I remember that right?
Sometimes, yes. And especially if there are two of them across from each other. That gives off a weird energy. Especially if they're like maybe antique mirrors. I think that can also... I wonder if there's something to do with the fact that they've been around so long, so they've taken in so much light over how many ever decades or whatever. If there's just a buildup of energy that you can somehow sense when you go in between them, or even just in front of them in general. So there's that aspect of it. I also think sometimes they can be either portals or windows, and they don't have to be older mirrors, because, again, that's what you're kind of referring to as ears. Every once in a while, I have this feeling when I go, when I walk into my bathroom, which is the only place I have a mirror, the medicine cabinet mirror. There are a few times every once in a while where I'll go in there and I do not want to look at that mirror. There's some energy there. And I don't know that it's necessarily evil. I wouldn't quite go that far, but there's something there that it's just like a lot of times when that happens, I just don't want to deal with it. And so I just do not look at that mirror as I'm going in there. And then I get out, and then eventually that feeling goes away. Like, it can even be the same night or the same morning. That can fade away over hours or whatever, and then I'll go back in there later, and it's fine. So there's something to these reflective surfaces, I think, and I almost wonder now if different kinds of these mirrors, if, let's say, a regular mirror is a different kind of portal or energy, or it can take in different kinds of energies than, let's say, a dark mirror or a black mirror, or the darkness. If there are different kinds of these portals or windows.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So back to that whole sensory deprivation thing, and somebody in the chat there said that's your third eye, that color swirl that you're seeing. I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe this is something that's real, and the more they keep putting this into the news cycle is like science saying, oh, by the way, we've got this mirror world or this mirror universe that's is mathematically possible or even probable because of this, that, and the other thing. It makes me wonder, dude. It makes me wonder what the hell's really going on about the upside down. Pretty bizarre stuff. What else you got, my friend?
Yeah, I agree. And I do. It makes me wonder, as we always talk about, is if this stuff seems to come up, whether it's in scientific articles or fiction. You know, this has been around. These ideas of these different universes or mirrors being portals. It's been around in fiction even just for a long time. So I think there's something to it. I'm just trying to pin down what it is.
Definitely. As you know, we're going to keep an eye on this, and as these portals open up, we'll be the first on it, James. We'll be the first talking about it.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it, my friend. James here, a good friend of mine, Salcedo Paranormal. He's got a podcast. Check it out. Links in the description down below. Go say hi to James. Good dude, and he does good work over there. Talks about paranormal stuff 5 nights a week at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and you can come join his Discord and go listen to one of those recordings live. So do check it out. Yeah, his link down below is an entire link tree, so it's got his podcast, it's got his YouTube channel, it's got his Discord server. Everything is there in one spot. James, you're the best. I appreciate it very much, and please give James a follow. I would appreciate that as well. All right, now I've been talking about this idea of maybe a, let's say, ritual to maybe open up the mirror world. And I'm going to talk about that in just a sec here, but I still have time for you guys if you want to be part of this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's look at this. Now, there's this thing called a Three Kings ritual. All right, Three Kings ritual, and this gets super creepy. This is from creepypasta.wiki, and it's one of those things. This is where the infamous Slender Man came from, was from the creepypasta, right? But listen to this. This is a thing called the Three Kings ritual, and I found this sort of just looking for mirrors and mirror world and things like this, mirror rituals, whatnot, and this came up, and I read it, and I got to tell you what, it's creepy. All the stuff that APOC was saying, like spend some time in the dark with a candle, looking into a mirror, do it with other people, and there's some creepy stuff going down, right? This gets even more super strange. Look at this. This is the setup. Here we go. Here's the ingredients. I'm going to read this. This is the Three Kings ritual. Actually, let's not read the ingredients. That's boring. The setup. Here we go. Start the setup around 11 p.m. Place one chair in the center of the room facing north. This part is important. Place the other two chairs exactly to the left and right facing your throne. The distance between your throne and that of your queen and fool should be about the length of your arm to each side, more or less. Now, place the two large mirrors on the queen and fool chairs left and right of you, facing you and each other. Try your best to have them stand at a 90-degree angle so you can see yourself, but not directly, so sort of in your peripheral vision, right? If you sit on your throne facing straight ahead, which is north, you should be able to perceive your own reflection in each of the two mirrors without actually having to turn your head nor your eyes to do so. If you see your own reflection in the corner of your eye, just barely there, then you've done it right. Place the bucket of water and a mug in front of you, just barely out of reach. Place a fan behind you and turn it on. Don't set it to maximum power. Medium or low is usually enough. Leave the fan on. Turn off the lights, leave the door open, and go to your bedroom. Set the candles by the side of the bed next to a lighter, your alarm clock, and your cell phone. Leave your cell phone charging. Set your alarm clock for 3:30 a.m. Turn off the lights and sleep while holding your power object, which of course could be some sort of a stuffed animal or something from your childhood. They say a small toy or a dear object from your childhood is what they call it. And there you go. Get some rest. Now, when your alarm goes off at 3:30 a.m., wake up, turn it off, but don't turn on the light. You have exactly 3 minutes to light your candle, grab your cell phone, and make your way to the dark room to sit in your throne. You should be seated by 3:33 a.m. Don't forget your power object. Check for potential red flags. If your cell phone didn't charge for whatever reason, abort the mission. If the alarm didn't go off exactly at 3:30 a.m., abort the mission. If you find the dark room door closed, remember you left it open, abort the mission. If the fan is turned off, you left it on, abort the mission. So you see what's going on here. It's this bizarre ritual where you're supposed to set up this entire situation where you go sit down in this throne surrounded by two mirrors and other thrones, which they're calling the Queen and the Fool. And now what this whole idea comes about is when you go sit down at 3:30 and they say all this stuff checks out and everything's fine, what you're supposed to do is from 3:30 until what's the time? It's 1 hour and 11 minutes. That would be what is that? My math is terrible. 4:34 is when you should do this, right? So you should sit down in this chair with a candle in front of you and the fan behind you. You're facing north. You have the mirror left and right of you sitting on these two chairs just out of your normal vision, and you see your reflection in the peripheral vision. Now what you're supposed to do is start asking questions. And supposedly the Queen and the Fool will arrive as apparitions of such or some kind of something, entities in these mirrors, and they will speak with you. And they will answer your questions about the past, the present, and of course the future. And so you're not supposed to, there's a whole lot of crazy rules in this. I'm not going to go into all the rest of this stuff, but you're supposed to stay in the chair until 4:34 a.m. and not get up. Now, the thing is, you need a friend to do this because in case something happens to you, they say that these mirror entities, the Queen and the Fool, can snatch your soul and take it into this mirror world. And if you don't have somebody to do that kick to wake you up, your soul could be lost forever. You see. So you're supposed to have now the bucket of water and the mug. You're supposed to have a friend come and try and wake you up at 4:34 a.m. if you're not moving, if you're in this trance-like state, right? You guys seen Stranger Things, right? The trance-like state that you can't get out of. Not going to spoil that anymore. Now look, so you have your cell phone on you. You've got your power object. You've got this bucket of water on the ground. You've got these two mirrors offset that you can see in your peripheral vision, which is supposed to show the Queen and the Fool. Because, of course, you're the king in this scenario. And, but there are three kings because these other individuals see themselves as king and see the other two seats as the Queen and the Fool to them, you see? So we have this bizarre triplicate mirror situation going on with the three kings. And then you have your cell phone, so if your friend can't wake you up out of the trance that you're in at 4:34 a.m., they're supposed to call your cell phone to snap you out of it. If that doesn't work, they're supposed to take the mug and get a dip of water and splash it in your face and wake you up. It says under no circumstances your friend is supposed to touch you while you're in this trance. Okay? So there's that. Then they say, if there's no other way to break you out of it, you're supposed to use the power object, which of course is that something that bauble from your childhood, some kind of thing that kind of grounds you. Again, think Inception and the little charm they had that would continue to spin his little top or whatever, right? Something to this effect, the totem or whatnot. But I don't know, right? So this is again written on the what is this called? What's it called? Creepypasta. I was going to say Wikipasta. Creepypasta, right? The three kings ritual. Now, again, this is again back to the whole idea of this mirror world or mirror universe. Are you contacting entities that are on the other side is the question. Do you believe in this stuff? That's another question. And, well, again, do you believe any of this stuff could even be real? It starts to get super wild when you got the candle. You're supposed to keep the candle from going out. You're supposed to keep it in front of your body, block it from the fan behind you, because if the candle goes out, the ritual ends. So I don't know, right? It sounds creepy. Does that not, James? Have you heard of this? The old three kings ritual?
I have not, but there's a lot of things that sound like they could go wrong in that, so I don't think I'd want to.
I'm with you. I was reading it and I was like, this seems Scary? A little scary. It seems a little scary to me, right? Just sitting there at 3:33 a.m., seated in your throne, waiting for the manifestation in the mirror of the Fool and the Queen to answer questions about the past, present, future. Seems wild, right? And so there's a whole lot more to this. We're talking about scrying, and the Shadowside is actually where I got this term. If you look at this, the Three Kings ritual, that's what they call it. It says right here from the Creepypasta Wiki, it says, what I'm about to share with you is one of the many relatively safe ways in which you can access, not quite enter, but access a place I call the Shadowside. Now you know where I got the term, straight from here. And there's different iterations of this on the internet, very, very close to exactly this. And I don't know who wrote this, if this was a repost or if this particular individual wrote this. But there's I got a few links in the description down below if you want to check it out. But there's also people that have, you can go to YouTube and type Three Kings Ritual in the search there, and you'll get people actually trying this ritual. And people are freaking themselves out, right? I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of this, but there's some shenanigans going on, right? Back to the whole Bloody Mary and candles and lights and lights off, candles and mirrors, and I don't know, man. I don't know. So, of course, once you start looking in terms of this type of stuff, it got me thinking, well, is it possible? Is it possible that with some sort of ritual you can access, or even, let's say, enter with your mind, this mirror universe? And so, if that's the case, we're talking about Stranger Things, we're talking about the Upside Down, we're talking about all kinds of stuff and whatever resides in that realm. And of course, if you're into Stranger Things, you'll know that it's the Demogorgon. You'll know that it's the Mind Flayer. You'll know that it's a villain I will not name for spoilers. But it seems to me that, again, the Department of Energy has suggested they're already dealing with portals and alternate realities by exploring them. We're seeing this hitting the news cycle and the zeitgeist like crazy. It's always like mirror universe, mirror world, this, that, the other thing. It just keeps coming up as this recurring theme. And you got to wonder, is this real? So there we go. I think that probably takes us to about where we need to be tonight. But again, as always, I don't even know if any of this stuff is real, guys. So relax, everybody. If you're in the dark with lit a candle and got in front of a mirror, don't do that. It's not my fault. Stop. Don't do that. Look, I mean, unless you want to do that, then it has nothing to do with me. Don't blame me. Okay. But the thing is, well, I don't have the answers. But I think it is fascinating to consider the possibilities here. And that's what this has always been about. That's what this is about. And that's what we're going to do. So the bad news is, of course, we're done. We're done. As you know, we do 2 hours on the Fringe FM. We do a third hour off the Fringe to continue taking phone calls. So the bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we have tomorrow. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop and Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. I don't know. It seems wild to me. The mirror universe, the mirror world, this Black Swan mirror event, which of course would be the first portal opening and the first entity waltzing on out like nothing's new. What do you guys think? All right, so let's get the hell out of here. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. And of course, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right, am I the only one who's a little creeped out by this mirror candle ritual stuff? What do you think? Is this a peek into the other side, into whatever this happens to be, into the upside down, as it were? Well, if it was Stranger Things, for sure. But this isn't Stranger Things. This is the real world. Do you think there's some basis for this? Do you think that this actually tracks, or all just a bunch of fiction, Michael Strange? Relax, everything's going to be fine. Love to hear your thoughts. We're going to still go for a third hour. Keep on trucking as we do. Third hour's for you. What are your thoughts regarding a mirror world, a mirror universe, an alternate reality? And of course, how do we make contact? Some sort of goofball mirror ritual like this Three Kings thing? Or do you think there's something more nefarious than this? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Be right back. Okay, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're taking your phone calls. This third hour is, of course, for you. So what do you think? You think there's something to this mirror universe? I got lots of stuff to get into. We're talking about Stranger Things, the Upside Down. What about the Montauk Project? What do you expect when this Black Swan mirror event begins? What's going to walk out of the portal itself? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as simple as that. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and there we go. There we go. We got, looks like we got Matt in Colorado back for more. What's up, Matt? Welcome to Troubled Minds. Are you there? Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Just unmute. Should be okay. You had that weird thing. Sometimes we have that weird feedback loop where people can't stay in the on air. It bounces them back to the caller queue. Are you there? Matt in Colorado. Hello. Testing. 1 2 1 2. Nope. No. All right, I'm gonna leave you there. Let me know when you get this worked out. He may have stepped away for the break. But okay, so I don't know. Like, this is weird, right? This is super weird. You start talking about rituals and stuff, and this is Ronald, of course, over on Rockfan says, I believe in the Three Kings ritual. I also believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. There you go, right? Exactly. It could be a bunch of horse shit. And it's a wiki pasta, or creepy pasta, so it probably is. What's up, Robert says, the hardest part would be finding a friend to assist you in doing this bizarre thing. Yeah, maybe. maybe. Tam Bam says, no, I'm scared it works. Yeah, right. Robert says, I tried it. It does work. Okay. All right. I'd love to hear your thought on that. Okay. So you guys tell me, I don't know, regarding all this stuff, like I said, is it just BS? I'm going to give it a good solid maybe, right? Just like maybe you got to consider things might be BS, or, you're the sucker. Like what did Art Bell say, attributed to somebody else as well? That who said this first? I can't remember, but, keep an open mind, but not so open that your brain falls out. And there we go. Hopefully that's the Troubled Minds ethos. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think regarding this stuff? The mirror world and this ritual stuff. Do you think there's anything else that we should mention regarding a ritual like this? And what do we expect to see walk through the portal itself? Yeah. Yeah. Matt in Colorado, are you there? Test 1 2. Test. Nope. Hello. Test 1 2. James, confirm. Does it work?
I'll be there now.
Okay. Confirmed Discord works. Matt in Colorado, you're on Troubled Minds. What's up, bro? Can you hear me? Discord shenanigans. He unmuted, so that's a good sign. Good sign. All right. Okay. So James confirmed it does work. Let me know, Matt, whenever you're there. Okay, so like I said, there's some more stuff to get into here because, of course, this is not as simple as just a thing, right? Because there's more things to consider. These mirror type rituals. Do you think that there's something to this? What was your initial thought on that, James? Did it sound like horse shit to you, or did it seem like no thanks, I'm not trying that?
You know, it's the internet, so there's always that possibility. But also, if you think about, I mean, there have been different kinds of rituals for all different kinds of things going back. I mean, who knows how far back? Probably to almost the beginning of when there are people here. But yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't. I'd say if you are interested, well, you know, yeah, I don't know. It's an odd one, but. I wouldn't rule it out as impossible.
Okay, all right, but you're not willing to call shenanigans just quite yet. We have to get a guinea pig and test this out first. I'm with you. We're getting to our own ritual. Matt in Colorado, you're on Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? Are you there? Test 1, 2. Nope. Nope. All right. Let me know. Maybe reboot the entire phone, and we'll get back to you. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. Colorado represent. Kelly Rado represent. What's up, Kelly? Are you there? Test 1, 2. What's going on? Discord broken? Can you guys hear me? I don't think
I'm here, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's working for James. Is it working for everybody else? Kelly, are you there? What's up, my friend?
No.
Oh, there we go. I hear you. You there? Oh, well.
He was there.
He was there. It started working. Hey, we've pissed something off. We've definitely pissed something off. Maybe the mirror world from the cell phones themselves, the black scrying mirror, James. Maybe we've pissed him off.
Yeah, or some other version of us that is in charge of keeping all this secret. No cross-universe contamination, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
Exactly. All right, so we got having Discord issues. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. You're on Troubled Minds to the phone lines. What's up, my friend? Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, go right ahead, man.
You can hear me?
Yes.
All right. These are two kind of connected things. I mean, at least the feeling of it was, it's more of a personal experience. But, like, I mean, it's not really personal because, like, you can experience it yourself, too. The first one, like, I fly drones and stuff. The first time I flew a drone, it was kind of like, it was like you're in the drone, right? But, like, I was, like, flying around myself, and I'm just, like, standing there. And it's like a surreal feeling, looking at yourself, but moving in another object. And then, like, I had, like, a dream. This wasn't, I don't think, connected. These were far apart, the dreams and the experience of the drone. But, like, I was looking at myself. It felt like myself in dream form. But, like, it was more like an avatar. Like, that's how I'd explain it. Like, it was like an avatar. Like, long legs, like long arms, big eyes, like just different, like looking like a person that could run around the planet if they had to and not stop, like maybe stop at like one lake. Like that's maybe, and then I was thinking connected back to the last show, you're talking about dreams and stuff. Maybe that's like the mirror mind's eye of what I could have like can look like or should look like or do look like to the mind. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's actually a very good point regarding the flying the drone thing. If you guys have ever done that, so you're basically looking at this screen, right? And it's kind of got this first person perspective on the camera, except it's flying. So you kind of, like I guess, have you tried to put VR goggles on? Can you do like a VR experience with a drone? Joseph, do you know?
Yeah, that's the kind of drones that I'm talking about. They have like HD, the DJI ones and stuff. They have like these goggles in HD. So it's just like looking at yourself. You're just in a drone.
So you become the drone. You sort of possess the drone.
Yeah. And the first time you do it, you get that feeling especially when you're looking at yourself. It's surreal. Like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's really, everyone should experience it. It's because it's a different feeling, right? I mean, that's how I think of it. Like,
yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's definitely weird. And
it's totally weird.
I could see that being like, I could see that, like, that feeling, like, I don't, maybe that's like a new feeling for like humans. Maybe that's like the brain, like, picking on to something. It's like, whoa, we've been here a long time and never had that happen, or something like that. But then I was thinking, like, I have this, okay, this is completely unrelated. I have a ghost bottle, and this kind of is like the Bloody Mary trick. And the ghost bottle has faces on it and stuff. And I showed it to someone once, or I was about to show it to them, and they said that they saw something off the reflection of the window of my face that looked like the faces in the ghost bottle, and like some certain, and then I figured out, like, if like presented right, like, you can really freak someone out. I mean, like, I remember being like a kid and stuff and playing Bloody Mary. Or I think I did it like a couple times, but like you could just jinx yourself out. And I've done that a couple times, I think, because I remember I was at a church one time too, and I seen like a lady in a white dress at the end of the hallway, and it was at like 11 at night. And one of the workers said they seen that too, and I never talked about it except for to like one person. And they said they saw like some kind of white figure, but then I saw the door at the end of the hallway was white.
That's pretty wild.
Like, it could be the door that's throwing people off.
Yeah, we talked about.
But it is weird that two people.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
But it's kind of weird that those two people like interpreted like the white dress lady out of a door. You know.
Yeah, at some point, you got to wonder how much is coincidence, right? And how much we're sort of maybe sharing an experience that's inexplicable, unexplainable, and very, very paranormal-esque. Very, very good stuff. I love the idea of the drone, of us possessing the drone in VR. That's I wonder what it's like to possess somebody. Well, now you know. Now you kind of know. It's like possessing a bird, right? Or like possessing a hummingbird.
Exactly.
Super weird. Super weird. You're the best, Joseph. What else you got, my friend?
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like what they did in like a movie where they would possess like crows back in the day. Like, and then they'd have that eye. What movie is that? And the person had the eye in their hand, and they would like see through the eyes of the birds.
That's Game of Thrones.
And it was is it?
Yeah, sure is. Sure is. Spoiler, but yeah, that's Game of Thrones. That's the Bran the Green Seer. Indeed.
Yeah, that was basically it, that experience. I do suggest everyone. I mean, it's really, now they have a drone that you could do with motion control with your hands, and you could put VR.
Okay. I'm not sure if you cut out or all kinds of technical issues tonight. You there, Joseph? Okay. I'm going to call it technical issues. Thank you for the call. Joseph, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show, he's got a YouTube channel called IOWalks. It says follow Joseph in the description down below. Give him a follow. Good dude, good idea there. I love the possessing a drone in VR. And if you ever wonder what it's like to possess something, maybe you know. Maybe now you know. Let's go to, it looks like Phil in Washington, and we'll get back to Discord. Phil, you're on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
How are you doing, Mr. Strange? Or Dr. Strange, maybe I should say.
I'm doing okay. I'm not actually a doctor, but I'm doing fine, thanks. Go right ahead,
I
my
just
friend.
promoted you, damn it.
Okay, all right. I'll take it. I'll take it. What's on your mind, my man? What do you know about the Shadowside and Scrying in this mirror world?
Oh, well, I've made a black mirror, used one. When I had two eyes, that worked pretty good. But yeah, there's several things that this could be, the mirror world. And then it would be the fourth dimension, and I think that's starting to bleed through right now, based on the energies that we're getting off the sun. I'm pretty damn sure of it, actually. So that might be what they're detecting out there, is the astral plane, or the dream world. You could call it the upside down world, or it's it's kind of an ethereal plasmic kind of realm there, so that mirrors whatever you want to create in it, right? So there's that thing. And then there is the thing of using mirrors as portals, mostly to go back in time, because time is not what we think it is. As I was saying in that post, there is the space-time, where we have 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. And then there's time-space, where we have 3 dimensions of time, past, present, and future. But we are locked into one space. So, and then there's the portals that channels make. For instance, myself, I make a portal from my chair here in Washington to Sirius B. There's a planet there that's kind of looks like a burnt husk on the outside, but on the inside there's all sorts of life, and I can make a contact to that place. So this is just my consciousness, though, that's switching locales, right? But that is actually all the hell we are, as consciousness.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
so
I know.
So we can
no
sort
thoughts on any of that.
Wait, say that again?
But yeah, no, I said, I know there isn't any sauce on that, but other than what I feel and know, so. But as to that Three Kings ritual, from the sounds of it, it should work like like a grenade, it would be very effective. The only thing I would caveat that I would put on it as somebody that's dealt into ceremonial magic, which that damn sure is calling in protection. Setting up a sacred space. You're in effect creating a portal where you're a field of energy around you. You're calling in. Well, nowadays I call in the archangels, Archangel Raphael, Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Michael, Metatron, Sandalphon. I'll pull in as many as I feel I need, depending on what I'm doing in the working.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there's another way to open up a portal, so to speak, and that is when you actually draw out the circle, establishing the wards for each quarter, and you imagine a field of energy around you, and then you have a triangle out there on which you have the mirror, let's say, black mirror or a mirror, and tonight, magic is the magic hour, right? Is midnight. The reason they picked 3:20, or I think that was what you said, 3:20, right?
Yeah, so it was 3:33 a.m.
Chair and start.
Yeah, 3:33 a.m. and then 4:34, I believe, is when it ends. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's well. 333. That's a pretty powerful number right there. That's 369 Tesla. And I think he had some portal stuff going on too, when I think about it. And I'm getting a confirmation on that one. So Yeah, there's different ways we can look at it. I mean, like I said, the astral plane, that's kind of where we go when we dream, right? That is kind of, it mirrors this world, right? Often. I mean, you might dream that you're in another lifetime, or, you know, fighting in the Punic Wars, or on a Viking raid or something like that, you know. You know, whatever your dreamscape is, but it's based on the reality that you know, right?
Definitely. Sorry, I had myself muted there. Yeah, so this stuff is real. You're saying this stuff is actually real. Wouldn't that be wild if one day science actually was able to literally open a portal and like somebody steps through into the astral realm? Like, oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, well, I mean, no. I mean, this is the way races like us get around in the galaxy. We don't go, well, and basically, what is the Akabara, I can't remember the exact pronunciation of the drive, but basically where you're creating a portal or a wormhole between two places. But it's always, until we get to the technology where we just change the vibration that we are, and we, you know, bilocate or move, transport ourselves to that new vibration. That's the way the most advanced races are jetting around the universe. Oh, and then there is, I don't think anybody, I've heard anybody talk about parallel universes, where we're just, you know, a membrane away from a totally different universe. Yeah. So I don't know about how you portal between that one. That one's kind of eluding me. But as far as moving around in the galaxy, you know, I got a pretty good idea that, in fact, I think we're already using portals. Portals are appearing on Earth all the time. They go to other worlds, other galaxies, maybe other universes. And then there's the whole time thing, right? So you're getting in a time machine and you go back and you shoot your father.
Don't do that.
In that timeline, guess what? You're not there.
I don't recommend doing that, by the way.
You have to be in somewhere, or else. No, I'm not recommending this. I'm just saying this is the paradox that they throw at us. Well, I'll tell you what happens there. That timeline ends with you in it, or you're not in that timeline anymore. But there is another timeline in which you didn't do that, so that's where you go. So maybe not, because you've committed a heinous crime. You killed somebody.
Yeah, don't do that.
Universal law. You're not supposed to do that shit.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You're the best, bro. I appreciate it.
I was just.
What else you got? We got another minute for you. Go right ahead, my friend.
Pardon?
1 minute, please. What else you got?
Okay. All I can say, man, is that we can do these things. We're moving into that realm where we can bilocate, transport ourselves from one location to another through our consciousness, through the power of the mind. So be brave, be strong, and explore.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
amen. I appreciate it very much. You're the best. Follow Phil. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. It's called Philip Christophers. You're the best, bro. Thanks for the call. Thank you for listening. Have a great night. There you go. I like how we worked in the Be Sure and the Strong and the Explore. 702-957-1037. Kelly, are you there? Test 1 2. Kelly in Colorado.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, it's working. What happened, man? What's going on? We broke the multiverse or something.
My phone was messing up, so I was trying to find the unmute button, but I was all over the place.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. No sweat. What do you think, man? What do you think this mirror world scrying? You think there's something to this ritual stuff, or do you think it's a bunch of horseshit? Where do you stand on all this stuff, man?
No, I actually kind of think it's a pretty interesting topic tonight because I don't know, man. Like if let's just, let's take it for what the scientists are saying, that there's like a mirror universe, right? So if that's the case, it's kind of, I don't know, man. I look at it two different things too. Like maybe it's like a kind of like what a battery is, a positive and a negative. And it's like maybe it's like the ancients called like the duality, the whole concept like the duality of man. But also it could be, I don't know, if that's the case, maybe is it a thing to recycle our energy, what some people would call your soul, from one universe to the other. You know what I mean? Because if it's like that, a positive and a negative, that's what they're saying. I kind of see I one a thing kind of like what you're talking about tonight, and it was saying that something's bumping up against our universe, the Milky Way galaxy, and it's pushing kind of hard. So kind of like a battery, or not a battery, but like they push together. They're pushing up against each other, or towards each other. So who knows, man? If you take it to that concept, it's kind of weird that you would think that. That would probably one way you could recycle souls, just keep the same energy in one universe, or actually two universes of the same kind, just from one to the other. So maybe if that's the case, maybe if you die, maybe you go to the other side of like that mirror universe on the opposite side. Your energy goes to that side. And the reason why I kind of come to that conclusion was, I don't know if you remember that story I talked about. Like, we were talking about one of the shows we were talking about ghost, right? And from what I seen, and the time I was in Alaska, and I seen that old man and I come to think about it, it wasn't like I seen him per se. I seen it in the mirror, right? Because I was washing my face, and I brought my I looked up from the sink to look myself in the mirror. And I could see the old man was like, his face was right next to mine. But when I looked to him sideways, to my side, there was nothing there. But I would have looked in the mirror. I even seen like a kind of like misty looking, like it kind of disappeared or something. But it's kind of weird to think it like that. That's one way. So, but I don't know, man. Like if some people were talking, is there, that was one question. Can we go to the opposite side? Can we get like cross through the mirror? And if that's the case, like all mirrors, is that are those the opposite side that we could see, like peering through the opposite side? And if that's the case, then you could probably say it would be most all reflection. Anything that has reflection, you're seeing that. And what the interesting about that is, if that's the case, then your opposite side has got the same wife, the same kid, the same best friends, the same family, but it's on the opposite side. And what's crazy is like when you say if you can cross the opposite side, is there ability? I would kind of mention this if you guys want to go ahead and write this one down, but it's a patent number, and it's 2006 001 4125. And if you look that up, it'll kind of tell you what it's interesting, because that would be a possibility. Maybe if you do it instead of a wall, maybe in a mirror, and you can jump to the other side. But who knows if you can even survive over there? Because everything's like not really backwards, but left to right, like I think it was that Matt in Colorado was talking about, it's not really, backwards, but it's like left to right. And if that's the case, maybe the communication, because if you hold up a piece of paper or a book to a mirror, everything's backwards, right? Maybe that you can't communicate with these people because, they speak backwards, You're going to hear some weird shit coming out their mouth and you'd be tripping out. But I don't know, you could only maybe communicate if you could try to write it down and, go that way, but I don't know, man. It'd be a trip if you could do that. But anyway, that patent number, anybody looked it up, but it's the patent to. It was from the government, but it's It's a way to run through walls, the ability to run through a wall or a door, you know what I mean? Something, another object. The ability, you got to have the right footsteps and everything, and it tells you how. But I don't know if he could do that in front of a mirror. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some scientific basis, right? They say that you can pass through solid objects if like your frequency is just right. Okay, like, and this is proven. Like it's one of those things where we're not solid. Let's say the things that make us up at the quantum level are always in motion. And so if we had a sort of object that was just at the right, let's say frequency, I don't know if that's the right word, but you could pass through a solid object. You could pass through a door or a wall or something to that effect, a rock, right? But everything would have to be tuned just so. And so in that sense, I'm going to say maybe, because if that's the case, maybe we can actually reach this astral plane. It's just a matter of maybe tuning our vibration to the right space, and then we just maybe walk through the mirror. Who the hell knows, man? I don't know. You know me, drinking the maybe juice, talking about crazy stuff. What do you think about this ritual stuff? That weird mirror ritual. Do you think there's anything to this, or that's a bunch of horse shit?
I don't know, man. That's a I don't know. I don't know if that's tapping into the mirror side. But like mirrors are used in different type of rituals, you know, it's used in magic as well. But yeah, it's you know, that's what people used to use. You know, they were like black obsidian. You know what I mean? So you know, when they do scrying, you know, looking in, I don't know if you're looking in. See, that's the thing. People say it's the universe or the future. I mean, not the universe, but the future or the past or whatever. But what I believe is it's not really. It is. It's a possibility of a future. It is not the future. You know what I mean? Because there's, who knows if you're, you know, it's you know, it's the old saying that there's 1,000 different universes going on at once, or even who knows, you know, just on to infinity. But you have a different choices and different ways that can go. So it's not saying that it's a possibility of what can happen, you know. So I'm not saying that it's dead mark on, you know, but like using people and, you know, using mirrors and, you know, and that type of effect too, you know, is like I said, in you know, in magic they have also used it. You know, there's other ways you can, you know, if you're into that, you could check that out. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's interesting because I have heard that too with the. I've tried it a couple times where, you know, saying sometimes too, you never know what's going to come out from the dark, you know, but that's where you want to do it is like in the dark with the candlelight and the mirror. I never heard of that one with the king. What is it called? The Three Kings ritual?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. What's that?
Yeah, that's what it's called. I think I don't know if it's an old thing or if it's made up by the internet. I don't know, man. But yeah, that's what it's called, the Three Kings ritual.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. So I mean, I don't know. So like you're saying, it could be something new, but who knows? And just because it's new, you know, it doesn't mean it couldn't work. It's a possibility. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just something shared that's passed along. But yeah, I've never ran across where the two on the side. That yeah, because I could see that too. Because you know, you're seeing something like in your in your side perspective that you're sometimes, you know, you never know, because like I see something like that, you know, everybody does, you know, off your, you know, peripheral. Sometimes, you know, something moves, you think moves or something, but yeah, you're correct on that too, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, vibration going through stuff like that, and it is true. That is very true. You know, science also, you know, done that, and it is. It's just making sure that the frequency, you know, because it is a frequency, because we all vibrate on a certain frequency, right? Everything does. There's no standing still. And if you can separate, and it's like separating like all your, I would say like all your cells into a vibration, sort of just meshing through to where you can walk through it. It's like, you know, a lot of these, the ancient, the Asian, or not the Asian, but the ancient, like Chinese and Japanese, all the like the Asian culture, but like some of the things that were do with like when they were doing, you can train your mind with like karate, right? Or some of the type of self defense that they're doing. But like, I've seen some guys on there, man, and they're like taking solid bricks, right? And they're just like, looks like they're just hitting it. I mean, their hand is just moving. I don't know, man. Like, some people could say that it's a trick of the camera, but I don't know, man. Some of these guys it's too fast. You know, you would see it jump if it was a trick of the camera, I would believe. But these guys are showing video, you know, anyway, their movement is like less of an inch, you know what I mean? And they're slamming these rocks, these bricks and stuff, and the shit's breaking in half. And if you can, you know, it's just like with Bruce Lee, you know, he talks about be like water. And that's more exactly what it is. You know, it's that concept of be like water, you know? And you can, and water is a very, very, very unique property per se too. You know, that could be, you know, a way to also do like a jump gate or go through the other side, you know, of the mirror or what have you. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's for me. I don't know. Like for me, I would say that it would kind of be hard to survive over there on that side. You know, could just I don't know if everything's backwards. How are you gonna, you know, does your organs work the same way? You know what I mean? Your breathing, your speech obviously isn't, reading isn't, you know, who knows?
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely a trip to think about. So in the end, you think it's real? You think this space, this mirror world is actually real?
I don't know, man. Is it a different dimension, or is it just like one in universe has a mirror of what, you know, like that? That's kind of like we were talking. Me and Michelle were talking about that. I was like, I don't know. Is it a different dimension per se, or is it just a reflection of something? That's you know, that's kind of difficult to say. So if it is, you know, like, or a dimension, maybe that's what these things we're seeing in the sky. Is that, again, you know, is maybe it's coming from the other side. You know, if it's a dual thing, you know, like like I kind of was mentioning earlier, like, you know, like a positive negative thing. You know, maybe the things that we see when, you know, sometimes these UFOs, they seem to be blinking out, like they phase out, or they have like a, you know, some kind of a technology to, you know, to camouflage themselves. It's either a camouflage or they're phasing in and out. And if that's the case, they have the ability to do that. Maybe we have the ability to cross over as well. You know what I mean? And if that's the thing, I don't know, man. That's what the whole thing too. I was thinking about, if you have positive and negative, right? So it's not always going to be positive on one side and negative on the other. Maybe you have a mixture of both. And, you know, that's where you have conflict that's going on in this side of the universe. You know what I mean? Like too much negative. You got to, you know, it's got to balance out. You got to try to push that negative out. Just like I were talking about, like a magnet, you know what I mean? Push that negative out of this area or this universe and into back to their universe, or what they call the other side, or, you know, like with Top, he calls it like, you know, a different vibration or whatever. That's what I think.
Right on. I appreciate it, man. We got calls to get to. You're the best. You're welcome to stay right there. Kelly, good friend of mine, Kelly in Colorado. Tell Michelle I said hello. Thanks for hanging out. You're the best, brother.
And it was good.
Thanks a lot. Just in time. Seems like the internet's crapping out. Let's go to Matt in Colorado. Let's make this quick. We'll go to the phone lines and then come back to you and come back to Jennifer. You there, Matt? Let's see if your Discord's working. Test 1 2. Matt in Colorado. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. All right, let's not do that. Let's go to Matt. Let me know if you're there. Let's go to Rock Lobster. Looks like in Canada. Rock Lobster, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening? What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts regarding all the stuff we're talking about tonight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize for the last time I called. I just, we got a little offside, and you saw that I followed back, and, I'm on your side here.
Yes, no sweat, no sweat. Go right ahead. You're welcome back. What are your thoughts? Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no sweat. Give us your thoughts on this Shadowside and the mirror universe. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think the mirror universe is like, I don't know about another universe, but the whole point of the mirror thing, I think, is people got to look inside instead of looking around, and it's scary. It's scary to look inside because people don't want to. People want to pretend they're doing good, and they don't want to realize that they aren't.
Okay, I can buy that. Looking inside.
I don't know. I got kind of baited. I kind of got baited in this call because I felt bad that I called before, or like I got blocked or timed out, and I felt uncomfortable about that. And then I almost got blocked again here tonight, and it's just uncomfortable. Like I'm trying to be supportive here.
Okay, I appreciate it. And nobody's.
Like, are you having a show, or is this after hours? Is this an after hours thing, or are you still on topic, or what's?
It's whatever you want to talk about. The third hour is to kind of range far and wide. So we're still talking about this mirror universe. But if you got some other thoughts that are kind of related, sure, go ahead, man.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of. I don't know. Is anybody got any questions for me? Because I've been baited into calling, saying, "Why don't you call? Why don't you call?"
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So the question.
I got all sorts of opinions.
Okay. I got you. I got a question for you then. So do you think this you said looking inside yourself is uncomfortable and people don't like to do it, and that's what the mirror thing is about. Do you think it is possible there is something like a actual reverse universe, like the scientists are describing in this article, like an actual, like, let's say the upside down, literally from Stranger Things? Do you think it exists in the real world, in the real, let's say, multiverse, or do you think it's just some fiction, hogwash, clickbait?
But what's the opposite? Like, what's the opposite of good? The opposite of bad? I mean, there's like white lie is good, but what's that turned into the good and bad is either there's no opposite because nothing's set. So for it to be an opposite, somebody's got black hair. What's the opposite? White, or is it gray, or is it pink? Like the opposite of anything is subjective. Right?
Okay. I think that's a fantastic point. So it's the
opposite of anything is not.
So basically, you're saying
people feel good about doing bad things.
That's true. So I love the idea. I love the idea here. You're saying there's no opposite of shades of gray because it's all shades of gray. That's a great point. I think it's a fantastic point. So it's we'd like to kind of be sort of. Go ahead. Like I said, I know that the phone's got a little bit of a weird delay, so if I'm interrupting you, I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm not watching the show there but I mean, even the phone's got a delay for some reason. But yeah, but there's no opposite of I drive I can drive. I can't drive. Well, can you walk? Can you not? Can you walk with crutches, or can you the opposites? There's the opposites of anything are not. There's not really an opposite of anything. It's either your perception of what's opposite, or you know what I mean? Like AC and DC aren't opposites; they're different.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It tracks. I think you're onto something here. So what about the idea of? So you don't think this opposite world does exist?
But the mirror, the opposite world, what?
Does it exist, or is it just a figment of our imagination?
I missed that part. I don't. Well, the opposite world it already happened. It happened like 80 years ago, where people used to care about everybody, and now everybody cares about themselves. Like Like the opposite used to be the greater good, and now it's me first, and it's the opposite of like doing good and being good and thinking you're good. To me, that's an opposite. People used to be good and want to be good, and now people just want to look good and pretend to be good, and that's an opposite, and that's here 80 years difference.
Okay, but I also think that's a sort of a not fair, meaning that there's still people that want to be good today. We can't make like a sweeping accusation about everybody, can we?
No, there is, but there is, but but there is, but I mean the general idea of the opposite, like the opposite of people in the 1900s looking for food and trying to raise their family and doing, like, the opposite of them would be giving up. And now it's not the opposite, but it's a little more, yeah, I'll get it. Somebody will give it to me kind of feeling. I mean, that's, regardless, that's not the opposite. I don't want to get into that, but it's the opposite. My point is there's no opposite of anything, because I gave the guy $10. Well, what would the opposite be? I'd give him 5, or I'd give him nothing, or I'd take $10 from him. Like, it's the opposite. It's the opposite of doing something.
Right. I love it. I love the way your mind works. Yeah. Maybe opposite.
But I do agree. Like, I think the mirror is like, I look in the mirror and I don't know what I look like. I know what I think I look like. I'm like, oh, look at that guy. Oh, you know, man, he's a 6, he's a 7, whatever. You know what I mean? You got your own opinion of what you think, but and then you think what everybody else thinks, but you have no idea what anybody else thinks. But the mirror gives you a reflection of, well, you know what? Maybe you should do some sit-ups, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like it's the one that motivates you into who you could be, who you not, all the mistakes you made, the feeling of something else, right? But I don't know if the neighbor thinks I'm wearing purple shorts or green shorts. I'd say the green. He says he might think they're purple. I don't know his color coordination. I don't know his. You know what I mean? Like you honestly really don't know what anybody else sees. It might seem like they do because you say, "Pass me the water," and they grab water, but you don't know what they see. But when you look in the mirror, you're looking at what you're getting a reflection of what you see. To like, no, it's not maybe they see it, maybe they don't. It's what you see, and that's the mirror image of looking at, of thinking of what other people think, and thinking about and seeing what you think, and having to deal with how you think, right? Like.
Okay, I follow you. So you're saying no?
You can't pretend that I don't see it. You can't pretend I don't see it because you're not lying to yourself. It's like I don't think I need a haircut because nobody else thinks I need a haircut. But when you look in the mirror, you're like, that guy needs a haircut. You're not going to lie to yourself. So it's the mirror is forcing you. It's like Michael Jackson said, looking at the man in the mirror.
Okay, I love it. I love the way your mind works. I appreciate the call, my friend. Thanks for
obviously
thanks for getting goaded into calling, and you're welcome anytime.
And you know what? I'm not a big fan of Michael Jackson. But,
that's okay.
Well, I don't know. That Jennifer blocked me, I think, and I don't know. Do you got bots there, or are they all people? Because that APOC kind of told me I was a bad guy, and anyways. I watch your show and I tell people, hey, we got to watch this guy. This guy's got some good stuff and it's entertaining. And sometimes I call and you got to hear what I say because I sound like an idiot. And you know what I mean? A little bit of any publicity for you is a good publicity, right? So.
No, thank you for sharing. And you do not sound like an idiot. And
I don't know. I'm looking at you looking back. I'm looking at you looking back and forth on this TV, like on the laptop, and oh, no.
I'm not sure what you mean. Hey, Rock Lobster.
Hey, you're ahead.
What? Say again?
No, Okay, go on. No, but I just heard you say what you're about to say. So maybe you're like. I'm just joking. It looks like you're saying stuff to me, and then you haven't said it, but whatever. I don't know. It's pretty funny to me.
Okay, so we do have a delay.
Just if you got bots or anything, can you get them to stop like I mean, I'm trying to be nice here, and I'm trying to help you out, and I'm trying to be friendly, and I'm trying to get the conversation and good points and stuff, and I don't know. It just feels weird getting attacked by I don't know if they're by saying
there's no bots and nobody's attacking you.
Don't say stuff, and I mean, I'm not saying crazy stuff.
Hey, there's no bots and there's nobody attacking you.
Well, you might want to talk to a couple people there that day.
There's no bots and there's nobody attacking you. Okay, well, you're welcome to be here.
Anyways, I love that. I like the show. You know, I got to work in the morning, and I'm only up because I like the topic of mirrors, and we get a topic about what do I like? Gravitational stuff, maybe like the planets. We get that ninth planet story coming.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate the call.
That's cool.
Thank you, Rock Lobster from Canada. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you for listening.
Okay.
Have a great night. Okay. Thank you very much. There you go. Easy as that. There's no conspiracies to keep people off the phone lines. There are technical challenges sometimes because we do have some delays and whatnot. But thanks for the call. Good points there. Again, how do you quantify the opposite of something when many of those things are subjective? Great points. Thank you for the call. 702-957-1037. Jennifer, thanks for waiting. Go right ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Good evening. Loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good call. Never blocked him. Anyway, though, so D-Wave and CERN. Okay, so we've established about the mirror world, the shadow world, I did anyway. In my mind, as I've made up my mind kind of in a way about what I think it is. And I think that it's the cast off of the shadow self and then the shadow self of society. And I think that's kind of what's making it up. And deep into the ancient world, all the way through. So with a D-Wave computing system, they talk about in a way that it's a way of worshiping at the altar of ancient gods, like Cthulhu stuff, that they're trying to summon these ancient beings from somewhere they're reaching with these supercomputer systems, quantum computing. And it could very well be that what they are trying to bring back here out of the upside down that we're talking about, which is kind of the basis of Stranger Things, in a way, that some system that they're trying to bring something out of the upside down, conjure it up, and find a way to bleed it into our world, which is mentioned in many people's dream states. They talk about bleed throughs and everything. But in this case, with the bleed through of the upside down into the upright, I guess. But what if what they're trying to bring back wouldn't thrive under the current conditions of mankind? And because when you think about these beings that live in the mirror world, in the upside down, it's like a twisted reflection full of things that feed off of what is cast to it. Like all the things from usually in early childhood, but then throughout your entire life. Like this whole thing shamans talk about, where there's the splintering and you cast off different parts that are, according to society, no longer useful. And then you might need them again at some point. But what if those things are cast off? They're being fed on by these hungry ghosts, basically. Like the same thing with the fae folk and the demons and the idea of feeding these things and God feeding and all of that. There are things that we know as darkness and that we are capable of at least thinking of them. Not doing them per se, but thinking of them and where those things come from. But we cast that off. However, we see more and more in modern society the idea of needing to cast away good things, which are also considered like a shadow self aspect sometimes, which is about the soul collection bit. But casting off good things into the mirror world, which is why people do a lot of the shadow work and the mirror work to try to go and meet the shadow self and meld with it. But anyway, though, the good things that we are capable of, we are told is ignorance. Things like honor and thinking for yourself, those things are now selfish and they're untranscending. And like in the case of toxic masculinity, men are told that strength and the wonderful things about them or whatever, that those are blanket term. It's toxic masculinity, and that's being done to all of us, like the entire population, in some regards, not from each other per se, unless it bleeds through, but from society. The message is that the individual is sometimes toxic, somehow to the environment itself, that they may be trying to draw these things into. And I'm just talking, this is, like I say, it's theater, but anyway, though, possible, because I think it's very interesting that they are themselves considering it a type of ritual. And Elon Musk referenced to it about summoning the demon. We literally do so with AI. But they are trying to create this environment that's fit for what? And what's the purpose of it? This kind of environment. And what will it look like? Would it make this world that we're in, will it turn our world into the upside down? Full of these hungry ghosts, basically. And the idea of an individual and what makes them by natural law through experiences and becoming, now that they're suddenly toxic, the idea of what is it toxic to? And is it even possible? It's very delusional, really, to think that something, a difference in opinion from our neighbor or for someone in another city, that somehow that's toxic to us, because I think we all understand and have to agree that we don't have to agree with each other. In fact, on every opinion. In fact, we don't have to agree with nothing. We have to agree with nothing that anyone says to us, and we can still be friends with them, even if we do not agree. And I've seen that. I've been friends with people I don't agree with on any level at all, and I think we can all see that. Because we are more than beliefs and ideologies. So what is it toxic to? Could it be that it's toxic to the elites themselves, or not the elites, but this shadow hand and whatever they serve? And if the world is if it's actually ever transformed into the hive mind, a true singularity, it's possible we may see how terrifying the upside down is right here in our very own world, I think. And if the scale, you think about the scale, if one side gets so full, only one side gets so full, then that weighted side crashes. There's like with the thud, so to speak, and the chain that helped hold the balance is obsolete. And after the crash, the shit just spills everywhere, basically. And if the upside down, if they're trying to bring it through, because they worship it, these ancient shadow sides of the ancient world, the mirror world, if in it there's a God that's been created that they think could hold the good things as well as the bad things, but with it, all of this hunger, in a way, should it come through due to them creating the perfect environment by suppressing the individual human aspects, certain types of aspects, certain types of characteristics that will allow it to bleed through, not only just into the environment itself, but into the subconscious environment. Is that the portal? Is that a bridge that they're doing themselves in those rituals? And I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. It makes you wonder if some of this social stuff is related to maybe some sort of worship or ritual or whatnot. I do like how you said that if whatever comes through the upside down may not be able to live here in a natural state, because it would be like maybe us living in space or something. We wouldn't be suited for that. We're suited to live here. So if they're coming through or trying to in some capacity, you would also think they would have to sort of want to change the environment to suit them at some point as well. Interesting things to think about and consider. What the hell is really going on out there? Great stuff as always, Jennifer. What else you got?
I thought that was a lot. I was like, that's a bunch. I'm going to say it real fast.
No, you're good. It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm not saying it wasn't a lot. I just don't like to cut you off if you got more to go. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate it very much. Who else is here? Do you have anything else?
Just that I think that we should be careful about when we think about the shadow self, what they talk about in a lot of these rituals, and that Three Kings ritual you're talking about there. The reason they're bringing these trigger objects from childhood is that early on in the development of children, the most primal aspects of their psyche before it's even formed, about the age of 8 when they become conscious of it, which interestingly enough, is the age of sacrifice in a lot of rituals anyway. But because it's when they reach consciousness of themselves, they start to really see themselves as an individual at that point. Prior to that, there's a lot of subconscious just truth going on there. Very natural state. Bringing things from childhood into the ritual allows them to use that to get back to the parts they cast off. And so when you're going into the shadow world, that part that started very young in a way, or even from a past life, as people have mentioned, it's built upon. So you take somebody who's made their life good way through, there's an accumulation of all the things you've thrown aside, sacrificed out of yourself for the good of others and for society as you saw it, but may have been not the right things to throw away sometimes, or there were parts of it, and if you ignore those aspects of it, it can become like your own monster. And so when when people are facing the shadow self, it's so terrifying and so dangerous, and that's why you're not doing it alone. And that's why you have to be very careful, because you can splinter the deepest layers of your psyche, and if you do that, you have things like many psychological issues that can come up from that. So I don't think it's meant to be entered into lightly. And this is more than a ritual. It's like everything follows a certain, if you're doing hypnosis, and there's a very careful way that you handle these things, because you're dealing with the human psyche. And it's really not to be toyed around with. I think it's very strange that these kids just doing this everywhere, but these are all aspects to get into the deepest layers of the psyche through pre-known ways of hypnosis and regression and things like that, to get to hidden memories and things like that. But you're talking about, in the deepest levels of the psyche, that there has been a being that parallels you, that encompasses all the things you or were pressured into, perhaps, or that you decided upon your own accord to kill, like aspects that I will throw away and won't be because I need to be this way. That's what that's the id and the ego in the deepest levels of psychotherapy and stuff like that. And the shadow society is talking about the same thing. That it's all the things that society itself has done that with. Societies that we no longer needed, that we've destroyed, worlds we've destroyed in the past. They are supposedly existing still in this upside down world, all the way back into ancient history. And so if there is a being, much like the shadow self, that has become an encompassed God in the upside down world, and if they are worshiping at the altar of it, or wishing to summon it to try to fix the world, they may think that they need to blend them together the same way that people do shadow work, that they're trying to do it on a societal level. And that could be very dangerous if they're trying to make this world into the upside down, or if they worship it to feed certain aspects of us to it.
Very good. Very good. I think this is something we should continue to consider as we move forward, and this stuff keeps hitting news cycles, because what the hell's really going on out there? Fantastic breakdown, Jennifer.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know either. It does make me suspicious, let's say. Suspicious. Thank you so much. Thanks for dropping back in here and giving us some hot fire per usual. You're the best. Please give Jennifer a follow, guys. Links in the description down below. Thank you for the phone call. Thanks for hanging out with us. Always a pleasure.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Let's go to Matt in Colorado. Thanks for being patient, my friend. Couldn't get Discord working. Back on the phone. Go ahead, Matt. You're on Troubled Minds.
Yeah, sorry. Tried Discord a couple times. Something was messy there. But anyways, from Jennifer's first call, I wanted to comment, and you made a similar thing about, maybe one day science could actually prove metaphysics, or prove the paranormal, or prove the spiritual. And I was even thinking of like the news headline, scientists prove the Marvel universe turns out to be true and real, right? And I think that, whether that's through some kind of equipment they come up with, some kind of portal they're able to build, that somehow, some way, there's part of me that just thinks that science and spirituality is going to merge, and intersect. So even though I said earlier about, maybe this was a scientific placeholder, I still hold out hope. And maybe that's why it's sort of in the zeitgeist and they keep bringing it up, is maybe it's going to come around pretty soon, right?
Yeah, back to the age of the techno cults or whatnot. Merge science and religion and tell you where to worship because, well, Cthulhu demands it. Who knows, man? Who knows? Great stuff. Great stuff. What else you got?
Well, I think it was James mentioned Bloody Mary, and I already had a note to mention that. And I don't know if it's the same thing, but when I was a kid, we had this thing, I don't know, I was like 6 years old, and I had 6 older siblings, and we had Miss Merryweather, okay? And so we'd gather in the hallway outside the bathroom, and they'd tell this story about Miss Merryweather that was this old witch, but she was dead. She was a ghost. But if you went into the bathroom in the dark and stood in front of the mirror and said her name 7 times out loud, that you could see her or you could feel her fingernails scratching down your back, right? And then they would send us in one at a time, right? It was kind of like a dare, right? So you had to go like confront Miss Merryweather. And I remember that so clearly going into the bathroom. So there's like a little bit of light coming in through the hallway door, so it wasn't completely dark. So you could see a little bit. And you go in front of the mirror, you'd say her name 7 times, and I swear, I like saw this apparition. I felt her nails down my back, gave me the chicken skin, right? And I jumped and I was so scared. And then you run to the door just like completely terrified, and you turn the doorknob, and my brothers and sisters, they're all holding the doorknob closed. And so you were locked in and you couldn't get out, and you're screaming, let me out, let me out.
Yeah, I've heard that. Not exact thing, but very similar to that Bloody Mary situation. I've never done it myself because I was never really into this stuff when I was younger. But maybe I'm glad I didn't. Maybe I would not be myself right now, if you know what I mean. We're at the end here, so I got to cut you short. But what else you got for us? Keep in mind brevity, my friend.
Yeah, well, MJ brought up the mirrors maybe being portals, and I did have an experience like that once in my lifetime. So I think that mirrors can be portals, maybe even two-way, and maybe sometime in Discord I'll share that story. But the other thing is MJ brought up about doing the candles in the front of the mirrors and having past lives happens and recalled and stuff, and I've done that too. So I think there is something weird about mirrors, and they are some kind of tool, and maybe they open up some kind of portal stuff. And to where, who knows, right? Who knows? I don't, but I think just everybody should open their mind and think for themselves. Think consciously and actively, and ask a lot of questions.
Amen, brother. Amen. You're in the right place. Thanks for being patient with that whole Discord fiasco. I don't know what's going on. If you continue to have problems, try updating the Discord app. It was the bane of my existence for like a year when I didn't realize I had to update it every time I started new because it would break shit. So just FYI, you're the best, Matt. I appreciate the phone call. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. We'll catch you later on Discord if you're around, okay?
Okay, great, man. Bye.
Thanks a lot. There you go. We're near the end here, so we're still talking about this mirror universe. Do you think it exists? Do you think there is something to the upside down? And again, let me point this out real quick before we go to Daryl and finish this up. This tweet from the DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, at Defense Intel on Twitter. Here's the quote: "You're not in the upside down. The latest episode of hashtag DIA Connections is here. Grab a box of waffles and learn about the strange things at DIA, like our paranormal program and investigation into psychic phenomena. Check it out here," and there's a link. And I tried to find it and listen to some of this because I couldn't get it. Like the link goes somewhere else, I think. But anyway, I thought this was pretty interesting as we're doing this tonight. This literally just popped up. They tweeted this. Actually, that's not tonight. Somebody retweeted it. It's from June 3rd. But there you go. The DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, is talking about the upside Upside Down, their paranormal program, an investigation into psychic phenomena, and even hinting, grab a box of waffles because, of course, 11's favorite food is waffles from Stranger Things. All right. Thanks for being patient with me and everybody else. And again, thanks for sharing this space, guys. Like I said, I know sometimes waiting sucks, but it is what it is, right? We can't have like the panel discussion where we have 15 people on at the same time. So otherwise nobody gets heard. So I just like to make sure we have one person on at a time and give them plenty of time to say their piece. So thanks for being patient and sharing this space with all the rest of our friends. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Thanks for being patient. You've been there a very long time. You're on Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yep, perfectly loud and clear. Go right ahead.
I want to say great show, great calls, very good subject. I was, based on what Jennifer was saying, I was thinking about maybe they're pushing this agenda that's going to make us collectively weak, and they're going to make it the right environment for the Upside Down, perhaps. This is maybe turning into that environment with all our, toxic lifestyles, etc. And maybe they're manipulating this to be toxic and make us more our collective consciousness would be, subservient, and we're going to be a collective mass of obedient, useless eaters, as they say, and it would be a perfect environment for whatever monsters. I was also wanted to tell you, there was a fellow that was talking about healing, and he was like a Native American, and he didn't realize that he had to summon his ancestors to help heal. That you can actually have an army of your past, family members, if they, who knows if they loved you or not, but maybe the ones that didn't know you. And then you have a really good army to fight whatever illness or battles that you can't fight alone. And he said it actually worked to heal somebody. And I was thinking about that in this collective universe. And I also wanted to say that we're a polarity planet. Like, we have night and day, love and hate, man and women, right and wrong. We do have a lot of polarities here. And I was thinking that, maybe other universes have no polarities. And when you have no polarities, maybe that's immortality. And then maybe there's other universes where you have 10 emotions or 20, sensations. You teleport, you could fly, and you could have magic powers. I mean, maybe we're in the most limited one with just, these opposites. Anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to say.
Right on. Save the last for best, Daryl. You are fantastic. The best for last is what I said. Is what I meant to say. I appreciate you being patient. Thank you so much. I know that it's tough to wait, and you as always, very kind and patient and polite, and bringing hot fire to the conversation. I appreciate it very much. Daryl here, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. She's got a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description down below. She sings in English and French, and she does stuff on Morgellons and got some other paranormal stuff on her channel. Please check it out. And you can find her from time to time, a couple times a week, doing karaoke right here on the Troubled Minds Discord. There's a karaoke channel that she's singing in there. Come say hi and come meet Daryl. She's every bit as amazing as she sounds. And troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and you can find her and all the rest of Troubled Minds, the fantastic friends and group that we've collected here. Most of them are active on Discord. Come meet them, and there you go. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for being patient.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's great being here. Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure's mine. Right on. Thank you. Okay, so let's get the hell out of here. Let's do this. James, anything else while we got you here? You've been super patient as well. Thank you for making time for everybody else, and never making a fuss. You're always there for me when I need you, and I appreciate it quite a lot.
Oh, no problem. A lot of this discussion seems to center around this idea of co-creation when it comes to anything paranormal or supernatural. I think that's a big part of it, and just I think that the idea that Jennifer mentioned of these parts of basically these other beings, these other parts of ourselves being in that other universe, the Upside Down or whatever, that's an amazing idea, and I feel like that makes sense to me. So I really I think that was an amazing way to look at things. It makes sense, and also just in that maybe that's why all these things only happen, let's say, fleetingly, or just occasionally, or for limited amounts of time because they can't be here 24/7 with us. So just an amazing idea there. And so that's basically about it. Yeah, a great show, great calls from everyone.
Appreciate it, including yourself, my friend. Thanks for dipping in here and spreading some hot fire with the rest of us. I appreciate it a lot. So James here again has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Links in the description. Give him a follow, pretty please. And he's got a James tro for us as well. I think we're good. I think we cleared the dockets. No more calls. All right, everything's fine. Let's do it. I'm going to smash the music button, and we've got an outro from James. And let's do it. I'm putting it on so you guys can hear it. Wait for the bass to drop. That's it. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I appreciate it very much. And I introduce to you James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal with the James Tro.
There are two ways of spreading the light: to be the candle, or to be the mirror that reflects it. And that's from Edith Wharton. Sorry.
Nice. Love it. I love that one. That's an old favorite of mine. And James pulled it out and said, what do you think, Mike, for the outro? I think, it's perfect. James always peeling off perfect outros. All right. Look, please follow everybody in links in the description down below. Good friends of ours. This show doesn't happen without all these amazing people. So please give them some love. They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. They're on everywhere. Please just go down and follow everybody that you can, because as you know, right, this is a crowdsourced show. We do this together, so please spread that love. As we finish, right, what we're going to do is come back and punch in tomorrow. Hopefully something different. Try and think about something differently, and maybe bring some hot fire to a Wednesday. So as you guys know, we will be back at 7 p.m. and that's the plan. That's the goal. So if you want to help the show, there are a number of ways. You can sub up on, in this order is probably the best, Rockfin, Patreon, Twitch. You can sub up there, but again, Twitch takes half of the subscription, which sucks. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can do it there, and it's built into your Prime subscription. So just FYI, that's a way to do it. If you don't want to actually spend any money, or you've already spent money, you can support the show that way. The other way is the Troubled Minds merch. You can go to troubledfans.com. It's an old joke. You will not find me oiled up on a fuzzy couch, but you will find Troubled Minds merchandise, hats, shirts, all kinds of stuff. A new design went up tonight, the Intergalactic Family Reunion. Go check that out. Other stuff coming. We got Synchro Mystic t-shirts on the way, and of course Dimensional Influencer coming as well, and all kinds of different IDs and designs. I've been taking notes all this time. Every time we're like, that's a t-shirt. Well, those t-shirts are coming, so please check that out, troubledfans.com. If you don't want to spend money and you want to help the show, there are a number of ways. Spread the word. It's probably the most important thing is just spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Your time and energy here, it means a lot, and if you let people know a good conversation, the great conversation is happening out there, they're more inclined to come check it out. So please do that. Word of mouth beats the algorithms. And the other way is of course, you can listen to the podcast feed. It's monetized. There's some very minimal commercial interruption. But if you listen to like an old episode, it does send a few cents this way. And let's see, there's 431 episodes on the podcast feed. So pretty sure you haven't heard them all. So maybe go back and find some gold and listen to some really good conversations from, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago or something else. And there you go. There's the mouthful. As we finish, it ends exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.